Welcome. Greetings. It's 'Cause I Wanna with me and Josie. I don't know which one of us is supposed to be in the driver's seat today. I'm just starting the thing like the way that I do sometimes.
You seem like you're doing a great job. You can keep on driving.
Sure. Hi, everybody. It's me, your host, Forrest Valkai, and I am in no way very burned out and tired and just got off a plane back from SciCon and then sat down and started this show at all. 0% is that the truth. And I am joined today by the lovely and energetic and enigmatic and gonna be the savior of this entire show and possibly channel while I recuperate, Josie Caballero. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. It's good to see all of you on chat here. It's great to finally be on a show with you. I think this has been a long time coming. As you know, I am one of the hosts of the Transatlantic Call-In shows here on the line, so you can always catch me on Thursdays at 2 Central Time. But yeah, it's been busy, as you know, since it's the election time. You know, I hope since you were, in one of the, swing states that you were actually doing some talking over there. Did you get any votes? Did you persuade anybody? Because if you didn't, what are you doing with your life?
I was at a skeptic convention and in a very what I'm pretty sure is a liberal city in an otherwise conservative state. I don't know how much swinging I could have done there in Nevada, but like, I tried. We definitely talked about some stuff. So like, I don't know. I think everybody in that room was probably on board, but we'll just have to wait and see. But like, hey, I'm sure everybody who saw me at SciCon and also literally everyone else in the country is ready to tune into this show to listen to the two of us persuade them and explain why they need to be not voting for how long are we into the show, or 3 minutes now? Fucking Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's like it should not be a close race. It's literally fascism on the ballot. This is like, even if you think that dude is halfway decent of a person, I encourage you to take up reading. But even if you do, like, y'all, Project 2025 is a real serious issue. And if you like voting or pornography, you should be against it. So just, this is your chance to call in if you are an undecided voter, if you are a third party voter, if you are abstaining from voting, if you are protest voting, if you are in any way not directly just fucking biting the bullet and voting for Kamala Harris and trying your best to make this country slightly less terrible than it currently is and has been for the past 8 years especially, this is your chance to call in and talk to us, two longtime line hosts, about why we will be voting for Kamala Harris and why you should be too. Especially if you're a leftist, because just over the past couple of weeks, while all of us internet leftists have been arguing over how to be better leftists and who the best leftist is and who the most leftist is, meanwhile, Donald Trump has been talking about fighting the enemies from within and using the military to silence political dissidents and journalists. And anybody who's disloyal to him in any way.
That's right.
And all of us. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's bonkers because we're looking at, like, you see his longest serving chief of staff sit here and say he's a fascist. You have him saying, yes, he said that he was going to, that he loves Hitler, and he even tried to give him an out and said, "Oh, what Hitler generals do you like? I mean, do you like these other generals?" Like, and he's like, "No, Hitler generals." And he also, and I don't think this is getting enough coverage either, like when he promised money for the army soldier, that the Mexican woman that died in Fort Hood. For $60,000, and then when they said, "Hey, it's $60,000," he's like, "It doesn't cost $60,000 to bury a fucking Mexican. Like, he literally said that, right? Like, he said that out loud, and I'm Mexican, and it's like one of those things where it's just like, that's what he thinks of us. That's what he thinks. It's so gross. And oh my gosh, did you get a chance to catch that meandering, long brain cell killing Joe Rogan interview?
I know what you're talking about. I'm not watching that shit, dude. I'm not watching that shit because I can tell I can make noises about stolen elections and it will be exactly as beneficial as actually sitting there and listening to that interview.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awful. Of course, he praises North Korea. He was like talking about, like, when asked about like the authoritarian government, he like immediately pivoted to the enemies within. Like, he's just like, he wants to give Putin and Xi everything, like everything. It's like, it's just so bad. And like it, I will say this. I am feeling more confident than I think I have in the last month. Don't take that. You still have to vote, though. The only reason I feel confident is because I see all the work that's happening across the country. Yeah. But like, I do feel better, cautiously optimistic is say the best. Because go ahead.
It's where I have gotten less optimistic because like I was on that kind of train where I was like, okay, well, this is clearly getting a lot of publicity for like this awful shit he's saying, and that's definitely swaying people away. But then I'm also tuned into a lot of leftist spaces, especially on TikTok, and like the amount of people who are like, no, this is the year we're going to do it. We're going to vote third party and we're going to pull it off this year, and none of them are voting for the same person because even like Stein isn't on the ballot in all the states, and so like. It's not going to happen, and you've got this cluster voting for Stein, this cluster voting for some other person I've never heard of, this cluster voting for the socialists, this cluster writing in Alfred E. Newman, all these different things, and meanwhile, everybody who's voting for Trump is voting for Trump, and so like that we keep fragmenting ourselves, and then being surprised when we act and behave like we can get the results of a fragmented group. And that's that to me is really bothersome. A lot of people who are trying to ameliorate serious issues by allowing this lunatic to take charge of them. And the thing that pisses me off the most is when they turn around and say, yeah, well, he's a fascist, but I guess America deserves that now. Okay, well, then you were never interested in freedom. You were never interested in it. If you're going to say anyone deserves that, fuck you. And to relinquish millions of women, of LGBT people, of immigrants, of disabled people, to relinquish these people to their doom because you think this country is just so deserving of punishment. Like, absolutely. Just get down off the fucking cross. We need the lumber for the work we're trying to do here. It's insane.
The level of privilege to be able to just say this country can just, we deserve it. It's like, really though? Like, you're not marginalized at all. You don't count on the US government for like anything at all, where your world just continues to just move and spin without any worry about major decisions that can affect your health care, affect your family from being deported, from being able to like just go and protest even, right? Like where the National Guard's going to come in and sweep you away. Like, it's wild. So like, make sure you call in if you really want to have a contention here about what the value of like third party voting or non-voting. I really want to hear from you. I do, because I've been working in politics for like almost over 15 years, and I have seen a lot in that time from somebody who worked with the Occupy movement way back when in the 2011 to going all the way to where I am now, working deeply within the DNC process and the Harris campaign. Let's hear it. I want to hear what you have to say because I've seen a lot. Okay.
Really quickly, we've got a line's already starting to fill up. If you out there are listening to this and you're still confused or you're still deciding to vote third party, whatever like that, this is your chance. Number on the bottom of the screen, 720-619-2288. We're turning the attention to our own fucking audience at this point, because our own audience needs to step up and do what's right. Also, I want to throw out just some quick announcements for what's going on the rest of this week. If you like the Sunday show, you'll never guess who's on it. It's your boy. I'll be on the Sunday show with Erika tomorrow at 2. So it'll be a practice in brevity for the two of us to keep the Sunday show civil and contained so that we can still do the Sunday show after dark that evening, which is also hosted by me and Adair. So it's all scientist Sunday. You've got 2 biologists on the Sunday show, and then a biologist and a physicist on the Sunday show after dark. And then immediately after that, we've got Skeptalk on Monday, where you've got a damn biologist and a physicist again, because you got me and Dr. Blitz, who's a friend of mine on TikTok, who is I believe a mathematical physicist. Dude runs circles around me in lots of ways. And so we're going to have him as my guest on Skeptalk. That's going to be a lot of fun. If you're into math, if you're into physics, if you're into science, that's your chance to call in and have long discussions about that. Then we've got Chewed Gum with Eve and Alyssa coming up on Tuesday. Tuesday.
Yeah,
yep.
That's right.
Then on Wednesday, yeah. I'm reading it's just numbers, and I'm trying to do it in my head, and I'm extremely tired. On Wednesday, we've got the Hang Up with Matt, Dillahunty, and Christina. And then we've got TACIS on Thursday, October 31st, Halloweeny, with Arden and Josie. Hell yeah. Got the 2 of you back. That's amazing. So tune in to all of the shows. It's going to be really freaking cool. We've got a lot of great hosts. We've got a really cool lineup going on. So tune in to all those things. Call in to all those things if you would like. And with that, we are going to start jumping right into calls. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, sweet. And we're going to start the call off strong. We've got Nick, pronouns he, him, calling in from Caterpillar Airplanes. That's what's wrong with my brain. Who is a Jill Stein voter and wants to talk about why. Nick, you were on the line with Josie and Forrest. How are you doing?
Oh, hey guys.
Hey there.
Happy Sunday. Happy Saturday, 26th.
Saturday. Don't take my weekend away. I need it.
They're all just days.
Good time.
So tell me more about this person you're voting for and why you're voting for them.
Well, this is my 3rd time, and of course, three's a charm. Voting for the great Dr. Jill Stein, and I love Butch Ware too. He's a Muslim and very pro-Palestine and whatnot. And I'm a pretty much one-issue voter. I always liked her. I've been anti-duopoly. Last time I voted for the duopoly, which is the red and blue bullshit, was Obama won in 2008. And that came out to a great disappointment to me. Got us into more wars than anybody. Just completely screwed stuff up. Bailed out the things, didn't bail. Where's our bailout? So my big thing, my first issue voter is my first thing is basically I'm anti-genocide. And what's going on in Israel is genocide. And both Kamala and Trump are pro-Zionist and the pro-genocide. So
a couple of quick things, really quick. I'm just gonna cut you off here for just a second because I just have right away. There's a couple of quick issues. Her name is Kamala, first of all, not Kamala. So if we're gonna talk about her, let's get her name correct.
Kamala, yeah.
Sorry,
Kamala, right? I said
no.
Kamala.
You said Kamala. You said Kamala.
You did. Okay. You did say Kamala.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, just to be clear. Jill Stein, it sounds like you're parroting what she said this election cycle, where she said that between Trump and Harris, there is no lesser of the two evils, that they are both equally evil options. Okay, so then you think that they're the same on, say, for example, abortion. You think that they're just the same, that there's no lesser of evil there?
Well, here's the funny thing about abortion is that Obama...
That was a yes or no question.
And I will call him Obama. Yeah, I do think they're the same, and I'll tell you why. If you want to explain, okay, I'll explain. Obama could have...
No, I was just asking you a yes or no question in the fact that she says every woman should have a right to choose, make decisions about her own body. She worked with Biden to strengthen abortion pill access and patient protections. She overturned Trump Planned Parenthood federal funding bans. She said that she would sign national abortion rights bans, and Trump is bragging about the fact that he killed Roe v. Wade. So you're saying that they're actually the same, despite the fact that they have very different records, very different stated positions, and very different plans?
On abortion, okay. Well, on abortion, let's go back. On abortion, yeah, I guess the Republicans are a little harder on it. It doesn't really matter
Cool. So
because
if
they could
they're
have the Dem.
if you agree with Jill Stein that they're actually the same and there is no lesser evil, what about on climate change, which is an existential threat to all human beings? Do you think that there's actually no lesser of two evils on climate change as well?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay,
And I'll
so
tell you why.
that's also bullshit.
Because
On the topic of,
no,
say, for example,
uh,
criminal justice, do you think that they're the same in terms of like criminal justice?
yeah, totally. They're all there.
Okay,
Okay,
We're
so
the biggest penal colony. We're the biggest penal colony in the world, man. You don't know that. We lock up more people than Russia, China, and everybody combined. We have more
I
people
do
in
know that. I've
prison
talked
for
about it a
bullshit
lot.
charges.
There's a difference, though, insofar as Kamala Harris has supported better training, banning
brainwashed.
chokeholds, prosecuting police misconduct. Trump says police are under siege and need to be able to do more things and cut back active federal oversight of excessive force. So, like, kind of different there, right? Insofar as, like, one is still a more progressive candidate than the other, more regressive, more authoritarian candidate, right?
If you say so. But one thing I'll say about Kamala Harris,
It's
and I
just the
lived in
truth.
California all my life. Cherie people.
And again,
Google
her name
Cherie
is
people.
Kamala, not Kamala.
Kamala. Sorry.
No, I think
Kamala.
Yeah, Kamala.
Cherie people. I tell your audience, go Google Cherie Peoples and let me know how much Kamala is such a great justice candidate. Okay, just Google.
I'm not
Cherie
saying
Peoples
she's
and
the
that whole-
best. I'm saying it's
Yeah.
absolutely absurd to say that she is exactly as bad as Donald Trump and to say that there is no lesser
Okay,
of two
then.
evils. I agree with you that America has a lot of problems with authoritarianism, with excessive criminalization and over imprisonment. I agree with you that we are a warmongering country. I agree with you that we have done terrible things. I disagree with you
wow.
and your candidate in the idea that Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are the same and that there's no lesser of two evils there. That's a ridiculous thing to say.
They're both pro-genocide, and I'm a one-issue voter.
All right, Nick.
They're both,
Hold on. All right.
pro-
I want to jump in real quick.
Please
So you say
Yeah.
you're a one-issue voter, and you say the pro-genocide. So you have said that you voted for Jill Stein, or actually you couldn't have voted for Jill Stein last time because she didn't run. But you voted for the Green Party the last three presidential cycles. Is that correct, Nick?
Well, in 2016 she ran. I voted for her in
Yeah,
2016.
2016. But did you vote
didn't
for
run
the
that
Green
time.
Party in 2020?
Yes, I voted.
Okay,
I
so
think I
you-
voted.
so you-
I voted anything but red or blue. I voted, I think, libertarian. I think. I believe.
Okay, so
Doesn't really matter
Nick,
to me. It's kind of a joke.
I'm going to ask
Kind
you
of
a
my
question.
protest.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, Nick, because you said the genocide is your one issue. Okay, so
Yeah.
Nura Irkat, do you know who Nura Irkat is? Irkat?
Rings a bell, but refresh me.
Okay, she was on the list for being one of the vice presidential picks for Jill Stein this cycle.
yeah.
She's a Palestinian woman, actually, a professor at Rutgers University. And one of the reasons that she was not selected for VP is because she actually said that her condition for joining the ticket with Jill Stein was that there would have to be a ceasefire, an arms embargo, and there would and a list of conditions that the Harris campaign would have to follow. And if the Kamala Harris campaign follows that, then the Green Party should push the support behind Kamala to make sure that she wins. And the Jill Stein said absolutely not, right? So in that case where the Green Party had leverage to be able to actually say, hey, here's a list of conditions, Democrats, follow this list of conditions, and then we will push the support of the Green Party this cycle to you to make sure you win, to beat authoritarianism. And Jill Stein said no. Right. So do you agree with that position?
I don't think you can push these people. I don't think they don't.
I don't think that's what she asked.
They listen to the corporate donors.
What do you
That's
mean
not
No,
what
you
she
can't
asked.
push these people? Because I specifically asked,
you can't.
do you think Jill Stein made the right call to not select this Palestinian American because
She,
the list of demands and having the Green Party shift to the Harris campaign
yeah,
to
no,
support Harris?
I don't think the Green Star Party could actually support Harris because they're out, they're off the rails. They're bought. Okay, both parties are bought by the donor
Wait, the
class.
Green Party's
Okay,
bot? Or wait, so
no, not the Green Party. No,
my,
no, no. Green Party's ground
okay,
roots. I don't put words in my mouth. I said both parties, the red and
okay.
blue, are both purchased and already paid for. I mean, Frank Zappa said it best. Politics is
Okay.
just the.
That's not where
you
I'm
know.
going, Nick, because I'm not going to talk to you about money in politics because I'm also against money in politics. My question is
Oh, good for them.
specifically about the genocide, right?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
when you're talking about the genocide, and this is your major
Mhm.
issue, and this is the major issue that a lot of people who are voting for Jill Stein and the lefties are using
Mhm.
as a reason to not vote or vote for Jill Stein or vote against Kamala Harris, right?
Mhm.
There was an
It's not really a vote
opportunity,
against. I mean,
but there was an opportunity to say to the Harris campaign that this
mhm.
2% of the vote that we're going to pull across the country, we will do our
Right.
best to shift that vote to you if you actually follow this point of view of the ceasefire, arms embargo, and all of that stuff. If
Right.
you do that, which would actually make a difference in this war, we will do
Mhm.
our best to make sure that people vote for you this cycle so we can defeat authoritarianism with Donald Trump.
Problem with that.
That
Yes, I agree.
okay.
I totally agree. But
If you are a
Kamala
one issue
won't bend.
video, I mean voter,
Mhm.
sorry, one issue voter. I'm
Voter.
also tired. Sorry, yeah, voter. I apologize. A one issue voter. Then why
Yeah.
wouldn't you want to push that policy point in that
Because
way?
it's just a policy. Because it's just a policy, and policies, they lie. It's a lie. They won't do it. That's why. And I know of the issue now you're talking about. I follow Jill Stein very closely, and the reason why is you just can't do it. They won't put. You can't push these people. You can push them if you're a billionaire, but you can't
so
push
Nick,
them. I mean,
this
Jill
is
Stein was
this is
arrested. She got her head bashed
yeah.
in by police at a pro-Palestinian rally. That goes a lot with
Okay.
me. That means you put your life on
Okay.
the line, and you're going to pigs. Yeah, you can do that.
Nick,
That's what you got to do.
Nick,
You
this
gotta
is
tear
this
down
is
these
why
fucking
this
cities.
is I understand those points, okay? But I am talking
Yeah,
to you,
man.
as you said, was a one issue voter for genocide. So, but you have
Yeah,
just
man.
admitted that you would not believe anything that the Harris campaign would say. You literally said, I don't care if she said all of the right things on this issue, you will not
She
believe it, so
hasn't.
you wouldn't vote for her anyway. But even if she did,
I
you
would.
would not believe her. Is that
Then I would.
correct?
No,
You
I
would
would.
vote
I
for
would.
her.
It's hard. I would. Yeah, I would. If she really, honestly, because she flip flops. She's a flip flopper. Everyone knows she's a flip flopper.
What is the thing that she would have to do to convince you otherwise? Because I have a feeling that even if she did do this, there would be a point where you're like, I don't believe her. I'm not voting for her anyway.
No, you know why? This is why. This is a big factor that I had call with Kamala voters. Is that they can't fucking who's, anyways. Biden could call Bibi right now and say, look, you're cut off. You could call that Satan Yahoo right now and say, look, we're cutting you off. You can't kill Palestinian kids anymore and women, based on your
You're
fucking regime.
jumping
And
around, Nick.
Just
You're
back and
jumping
forth.
around. Yeah, like I'm trying to pin you down on this.
I'm sorry. I cannot stress enough. Her name is
It's
Kamala.
Kamala.
That's
Kamala.
actually
That's what I
you
said.
pronounce her
Kamala.
name.
No, you're not.
No, it
You're
isn't.
not saying it.
It's like the
No.
third or fourth time.
Kamala.
Yeah,
You're
like a
gonna have to
comma.
say her name
Like a-
properly
Like a
if you're
comma
gonna
in a
come across
sentence.
as anything else besides a condescending prick on this serious issue.
Yeah. It's
So,
like a
here's-
comma
like
in a
a
sentence.
And a lot.
Like a comma
Kamala.
in a
Kamala.
sentence. Yeah, Kamala.
Yeah,
Yes.
Kamala.
Yes.
Kamala.
Thank you.
Yes,
Right.
Kamala.
So
Okay,
going
Kamala.
back,
All
Nick,
right.
the reason I'm going down this line of questioning, right, is because you still have not proven to me
Kamala.
that the the sincerity of whatever she would say. And not talking about Biden. Look, I think one of the worst things that Biden ever did was embrace Netanyahu. Okay. Like when he came off the tarmac and he gave Netanyahu a hug, it's probably one of the worst photos that exists in his entire legacy. Right. And that's going to haunt him until his legacy is no more. Right. And so Nick, what I'm talking to you about right now is we have shared values, and I'm not talking about Biden. I'm talking about Harris. And what I have noticed, and what I have talked about, Kamala, is about this, right? Is I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people are like, it doesn't matter what she'll say. I will never vote for her because she is pro-genocide. Even if she said all of these things, I would not vote for her. I've heard that a lot, Nick. And because people think that she's insincere. So let me tell you this, as a political person, as somebody who's worked in politics, gets votes and goes into campaigning and everything like that, if you have a large contingency of people, and I'm going to use the Green Party as the example here, where the Green Party has already said that it doesn't matter if Kamala said all of the right things on this list, they still would not support her candidacy. Why would a politician in the closest election in American history try to cater her vote to a group of people who will always see her as insincere and not a voting bloc? Wouldn't it make sense for that politician that is trying to win an election in the closest election in American history to ignore the voters who are always going to see her as insincere and win this election and then try to do the right thing after elected?
Okay.
Like, do you understand where she's coming from and the campaign's coming from? Because so many people, Nick,
Kamala's campaign?
Kamala.
Kamala said she would do the same thing. She's not pro-Palestine. She's pro-Israel. She's pro-Zionist. She's pro-genocide. That's the problem.
So,
you can't push
oh my
people
God,
like
dude!
that.
Here we are back on this thing again. Josie, do you want to continue pushing on what you're saying? I just have a couple of quick, because I don't want to cut you off. But like it's so incredibly disingenuous, Nick, for you to sit here and say I'm a one-issue voter and all I care about is Palestine, and they're both pro-Israel and they're both pro-genocide and all these things. It's so incredibly disingenuous when you have the reality of the fact that, number one, Harris has already been pushed quite far on this issue away from her current administration mate. She's gone farther than Biden on this and said that we need a ceasefire and we need a two-state solution, and that too many Palestinians have been killed, and that the civilian suffering is too much, and that Palestine is entitled to security and to dignity and to self-determination. She has done so much more in rhetoric alone than Biden has done. So clearly there's a difference there, and clearly she can continue to be swayed in this direction, in the correct direction. Now Biden is already saying that, we're going to talk about an arms cutoff in a month after the election is over, and that's a whole bunch of horse shit, and that's political nonsense that I'm sure you and I agree with. However, the fact remains that Kamala has already moved significantly farther than Biden has been moved on this issue, and is worlds better than Trump. So here's the reality, Nick, is that for all the people out here that are just protest voting and trying to get the Green Party on all the thing, Stein isn't even on the ballot in all the states. So this chances of her winning this election are zero, right? So, and the reality is, the actual thing that is going to happen in November is that either Harris or Trump are going to win the election. That's what's going to happen. Now, my question for you, Nick, is which one of them is better for Gaza?
For Gaza?
Yes. Is Harris or Trump worse for Gaza?
Yeah, man, got me there, man. It's just
shouldn't be something you have to think about too hard.
If you're a one-issue voter, Nick, you would understand. If you are a single-issue voter on this, that means that you've put a lot of research and studying about what the outcomes for Gaza would be, right? So, like, foreign policy is probably one of the most complicated issues in the entire world, right? Socially, politically, it's your main issue. So why haven't you done the impact calculus on this piece of, this country that you care about? I care about a lot as well. And I've done that impact calculus because I care about this issue. As somebody who is a single issue voter, you should be about 90 percentile more understanding and knowledgeable on this topic than the average American, because you are making this decision when only less than 5% of American voters are making their decision based on this issue. So you have to be at the 95 percentile understanding of this topic. And a question of what is the impact calculus between a Harris and a Trump presidency has to be something you thought about a lot for you to be able to say there is no impact calculus and therefore I'm just going to throw my vote in one direction. That's not going to support either of the two candidates that are most likely going to win. So what is your impact analysis, Nick, between a Harris and a Trump presidency? Because, please tell me.
Who takes more money from AIPAC? Who's more paid
That's
off?
not.
You're not serious.
What's the impact?
You're not serious.
Nick, you're not being serious. I literally asked for impact
Who takes
calculus.
more money from AIPAC? Money talks.
They
Bullshit
both do.
Money.
They both do. Yeah. And so Nick, I asked you a very specific question. Right, but you have to be honest with us, right? Because we're feeling that you're not being honest with us, Nick, because there is a significant policy difference between Trump and Harris on the Gaza policy. They've been very vocal about it, right? In fact, Trump uses Palestinian as a pejorative, right? And so you got to think about the fact that Trump has said, I want to finish the job. When he was talking about Netanyahu and Gaza.
He said that all the images coming out of Gaza are just bad PR. He said we need to finish the job, that the images out of Gaza are bad PR, and he uses Palestinian as a pejorative. I think those are phenomenal points. Meanwhile, Harris has said that Palestinians deserve security, self-determination, the civilian death toll is too high, the suffering is unimaginable. So here we are again. Right. Please tell me, because again, the reality of November 6th is that either Harris or Trump will be the winner. That is actually what's going to happen. So you, by not voting for Harris, are actively helping Trump win. So tell me, how exactly is a Trump presidency going to be better for the people of Palestine? How is it going to help end the genocide to have Trump in office?
Right.
One thing about Trump is that he will end the bleeding of Ukraine, because I'm actually, anti-Ukraine.
Not even close to what I asked, Nick. I would like you to actually answer the question that you are asked. How is a Trump presidency going to help the genocide in Gaza?
It won't, but it could stop the genocide in Ukraine.
It will make it exponentially worse.
He said he'll stop the funding for the Ukrainian Nazis. We got to stop that.
Hold on, Nick. You said you were a single issue voter. So before I let you get on some other conspiracy theory bullshit, your single issue that you said several times was the Palestinian genocide. That is your single issue.
Listen, bro.
So
no war.
Single issue is war.
Be exponentially worse for the people in Gaza. How is that fitting into your narrative? So you're anti-war. So you're okay with ending one war so that we can dramatically make a genocide exponentially worse.
All wars are bankers' wars.
I'm going to need you to grow the fuck up and just pay attention for a second and quit just spewing fucking nonsense about how we all don't like. Nobody likes fucking war. Everybody likes war.
I'm a veteran for peace. I fucking
seriously.
I've seen atrocities. I'm a veteran for peace. Did you know in 2016 I was at the convention in 2016 as a Bernie delegate. I was the one that yelled "No more war" and started that chant when we stopped Leon Panetta in his tracks when he was platformed on that stage. So when it comes to no more war, I am right there with you, but I have made all of these impact calculuses of the differences between the foreign policies of these two candidates because I am faced with the reality that there will be a Harris administration or a Trump administration. That is the choice that is given between us, and it is our responsibility as no more war activists to make sure that the best situation for our country is actually achieved. And you cannot tell me that Trump is going to do better for genocide or better for Ukraine when Trump has already said he wants to give sections of Ukraine to Russia, which is appeasement. It's not anti-war at all. It's and it's the same type of stuff that happened when when the League of Nations was like, oh, we'll just give Hitler, Czechoslovakia and everything will be fine. Right? No. And he rolled right into Poland, just like Putin will continue to roll until he has all of Kyiv and all of the Ukraine. That is what's going to happen.
He won't.
The same Putin that Jill Stein had dinner with, by the way. The point is, nobody likes war, Nick. Everybody here is anti-war. Nick, listen. Nobody likes war. The issue is you've got two wars going on right here. Trump, you think, is going to end the war in Ukraine. Wonderful. He is also going to make genocide in Gaza exponentially worse. And then on top of that is going to strip the rights away from millions of Americans who are LGBT, who are women, who are disabled, who are immigrants. He's going to hurt all of those people as well. So you're going to sit here with a straight fucking face and say, no, I'm just anti-war. That's why I have to allow the fascist dictator to take charge so that he can maybe end one of the wars that I don't like by acting in appeasement and supporting the war criminal that Jill Stein refused to call a war criminal, by the way, and also exponentially make the genocide that you said was your single issue way worse and also hurt millions of marginalized Americans here. Grow the fuck up, Nick. Seriously.
And Nick,
do the calculus in your head.
I've done it. Also, you said that if you had a magic ability to understand that Kamala Harris was sincere about the ceasefire and the arms embargo and all of that type of stuff, that you would vote for her. But yet here we are with you moving the goalpost to Ukraine. So you have to realize that we are trying to have an actual conversation with you, but you keep jumping around all over the place instead of answering the questions about impact calculus, about foreign relations, which is one of the hardest issues to understand because there's so many inputs of different things that are coming into the process. So for me, Nick, like if you're a single issue voter, I would expect you to know all of this stuff. But then you started talking about Ukrainian Nazis. You got to realize that you are like grasping at things when we are trying to say, look, there is a situation that is happening. Ukrainian Nazis.
In Ukraine in 2014.
Seriously.
It started in 2014 when they started killing ethnic Russians in the Donbass. Read a book. Get your shit straight.
Nick, I literally taken foreign relations classes.
Jesus
you realize
Christ,
that
dude.
I was taught by, oh my God, I don't even want to go into my credentials.
Yeah,
really?
Just read a book,
really,
Josie.
Nick,
really, yeah.
Read a book. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I guess I should have just read one instead of the 5 that I read on international relations involved.
If you had just read the cover of one, you'd be as informed as Nick.
I know.
2014. You know that. You should
Nick,
know that.
I do. I was in university when it was all going down, when all of that happened. And I was actually taught by a person who was Egyptian. And I know, yes, in 2014, I know that Crimea was taken. I understand that all of that was happening at the time. And guess what people said back then? He only wants Crimea. He's not going to go any further. It's just going to be Crimea. He doesn't care about all of that. And then NATO, boom, we're in Ukraine.
You know that NATO encroached on, past when the agreement, when Reagan and
I'll tell you what I know, Nick.
But anyways,
I'll tell you what I know. After 26 minutes of listening to you fucking blather on about this and that, rather than just addressing a single actual point that either Josie or I have made, you keep dodging, moving goalposts, dancing around to other bullshit. It's absolutely
I'm not.
embarrassing for you to sit here and call yourself a single issue voter caring about genocide and war, and then be so unbelievably selfish and arrogant to sit here and say that you're going to. Shut the fuck up, Nick. I'm so sick of you interrupting both of us and being a condescending asshole because you think that you're smarter than literally everybody else, and you're willing to sacrifice the rights of millions of Americans and the lives of millions of Palestinians just to allow a fascist to take over so that you can try to move the political needle for fucking Jill Stein. I am so sick of people like you cosplaying revolutionary, like you're gonna fucking change the direction of the entire American empire with your goddamn worthless ass protest vote, as if it's ever been effective ever. It is absolutely fucking disgusting, dude. Just, I don't think that you're gonna listen to a word we said, because it's very clear from talking to you for this long that you don't give a shit about anybody but yourself. With that, I've had you muted for a while. I'm sure you're still talking over me. Arden, can you confirm? Can you see the needle moving?
When you mute in Colin Studio, I don't get to see his levels. I only see it when I mute on my end. If you want to unmute him in Colin Studio, I'd happily mute him here so we can test to see what kind of how large his ego is. But it's totally up to you.
You know what? I don't even think it's worth it. Josie, do you have anything else to say to Nick?
I have one question to ask. Just one.
All right.
And
we're bringing Nick back.
Sorry, Nick. We try not to take calls for too long. I just want to go ahead. You are unmuted. I just want to ask you one question. What do you think about the fact that, like, the last few rallies that Jill Stein had, there were signs that said "Down with Kamala"? Nick might have hung up.
No, it says he's still there.
I think this is a web client issue. I think he needs to touch his phone.
Yeah, touch your phone. Wake up your phone. Oh, darn. Maybe we'll ask that question later to somebody else.
Maybe. Yeah.
No, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Oh,
hello.
Yeah, now we can. We can. I just had one more question. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. I just want to ask you one more question because we usually don't take calls for this long. But I just want to ask, what do you think about the last few rallies that Jill Stein had that said "Down with Kamala" and not like "Down with Trump"?
No, they have "Down with Trump" too.
Now, but the first couple rallies. But the couple of rallies, they actually had nothing but "Down with Kamala" signs. And
didn't she also say that her goal is to get rid of Kamala?
Yeah.
And Trump.
There was like staffers.
You know, one thing I will say about one thing,
she said.
Props to Trump on one thing. You want to hear something cool? Props to Trump on one thing.
I'm not at all surprised you have props for Trump.
What is the props? One prop. And then we got to let you go.
One prop. He never got us into a new war. He never expanded any wars.
Of course, that's where you're landing. Great. Yeah, he went and talked to dictators and called them all good people, and continues to praise Xi Jinping, and continues to praise Kim Jong-un, and continues to praise Hitler. Yeah, no, you're right. He's really nice to the dictators and didn't start any new wars. So, Nick,
he didn't start any new wars, but Biden stopped them, right? Like in Iraq?
Biden expanded on them.
Oh, really? So you don't count taking down Iraq as ending a war? But you'll give Trump props for that, but you won't give Biden props for the Iraq?
I did.
Okay, so you give props to that.
Started that before Biden did it. Biden executed it.
So you're going to give credit to Trump.
We got out of there, and good for him. Good on Biden. I give props for props are good.
Absolutely, right? And Biden has actually been actively drawing down war for quite a while. But anyways, Nick, we're going to let you go. We have other callers on the line. Thank you for your call.
It's been gross, Nick. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Jesus of Christland. To seriously sit there and say with your whole chest, well, yeah, no, Trump was really, he never started any wars. He's nice to all the time. Why? Why do you think
war?
Who are the people that we're starting wars with? Is it the good guys? Like, I'm not saying like.
Yeah, it drops the mother of all bombs. Drops the mother of all bombs. You know, in Afghanistan, actually dropping bombs and killing people in like other countries. Like actually,
but it wasn't a new country, and that means it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like there was so much military activity that went on. And that's where it's like the disingenuousness comes in, because it's like, as somebody who actually studies, foreign policy the best I can, but I'm mainly focusing a lot on domestic policy currently this election cycle. But like, honestly, knowing all of these things, it's like, it's so disingenuous, because it's like, you can't sit here and say that a Republican is going to be better for war when you have the largest budgets being passed, you have all of the military defense contractors, you see the cutting of veteran benefits, right, during the Trump administration, and a lot of things, right, where it took Biden to pass the PACT Act, right, to actually make sure that veterans actually got taken care of after ingesting toxic chemicals and in their fight. Like, that's to me what I look at, right, as somebody who fought in foreign war. Like, I want to see these soldiers getting taken care of when they're put into these situations. And Trump doesn't love veterans. He hates them. He thinks that they're bad for photo ops. Like he literally is a horrible. Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's like, I can never trust Donald Trump on anything, because he will send people to war and then freaking have them killed or injured, and then be like, ew, gross, you're an amputee. Like, like, that's exactly who he is.
But he'll happily have his staffers assault a guard at Arlington National Cemetery so he can take photo ops in a place where you're specifically not supposed to, because that's good publicity. If you can get the dead people in a picture that can't consent in a place where people come to grieve and honor service members, that's the place where he'll happily do it. It's striking similarity in my mind. I know that they're completely different things, but like, in my mind, it is that situation, and then the time he tear gassed a church during BLM in order to go hold a Bible upside down and take a photo op of the Bible. Like, oh my fuck, dude. Like, it's the same level of shit. With that, we've got some other callers on the line that we're going to move on to. If you are tuning in and you think that anything that Nick said made a goddamn bit of sense, or if you are some other kind of third-party voter or abstainee, this is your chance to call in, 720-619-2288.
Or a Trump voter.
Yeah, honestly, if you're voting for Trump, this is also your chance to tell us why. Because if you can see everything that fucking lunatic has done and said, and can still be like, you know what, we should give this guy nukes. Like, this is your chance. You can use the link in the description, call in over the web, or call the phone number 720-619-2288 and talk to us about it. We're here for you. With that, we're actually going to take this call that just came in just a moment ago. Because I think it would be useful. Yeah. We got Jim, pronouns they, them, calling in from Free Lobsters. Get them while they're hot. Lifelong Republican voter that will not vote for Trump. But why should I vote for Harris? Jim, you're on the line with Forrest and Josie. What are you doing?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, we can.
We can hear you just fine.
And we do have free lobsters in Florida.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
The lobsters are under no oppression to anyone. So you've got love to hear that you're not voting for Trump. That's awesome. And you're curious as to why you should now vote for Harris. Do you have something specifically you want to expand on with that? Anything in particular that you're curious about? Because like, I can give you a list of reasons. But like, I would love to hear like just kind of where you're at in your own mind at this moment. So I'm not just like saying things you've already heard or already thought about.
Yeah, I was raised, Republican. I voted Republican, but I never liked Trump personally because of like, moral or amoral things that he's done. And so basically, like, I feel like, well, and his political opinions are not great, from a historical Republican point of view. He's reversed a lot of those things.
It's a bad time.
Yeah. So basically, I feel abandoned by the Republican Party.
Sure.
And by politics in general. And I think it's a problem with the two-party system. But basically, why, I have these conservative, I guess more conservative than Republican at this point, viewpoints, as far as the fiscal fiscal responsibility of the government, small government, but Trump doesn't want those things. And yeah, what is the argument? Why should I vote for Harris?
Yeah,
I have a
Jim, are
bunch
you
of stuff to
leaning
say,
toward
but
Harris?
you actually.
Yeah, Jim, are you leaning toward Harris? Like, or are you like seriously undecided?
I don't want to vote for her, and honestly, in Florida, it probably won't even matter.
It will matter.
But
the turnout matters. It matters a lot.
Fair enough. But yeah, I mean that's where I'm at. I'm not supportive of Harris, but I definitely am not going to vote for Trump.
Yeah. Can I run through a few things quickly? Because Josie, you actually work with the campaign, right? So you're going to fucking kill.
Well, I volunteer. Yeah. I volunteer quite a bit. I'm a lead volunteer for a lot of the phone banks, and I'm part of the Out for Harris working group as well. So I've been working for well over a year on the campaign since Biden to Harris.
So then if it's okay with you, I'll get mine in real quick, and then I'm going to hand it over to you, and you can run the rest of it. Because, like, holy crap, you're way better at this than me.
Can I just please ask that I don't get an argument for why Trump is bad, but I get an argument for why Harris is good.
For sure. Absolutely.
That makes sense?
Yeah, we get that, Jim. You already don't like Trump. We're not going to go there. We're going to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Not interested, because there's no reason if I sit here and excoriate Trump for 20 minutes, that doesn't tell you why you shouldn't vote third party or not vote at all.
Right.
Exactly. More interested in that is you're talking about small government, and you're talking about financial responsibility. I think right there you should be interested in Harris. And if you're feeling abandoned by the Republican Party, I want to say very briefly, you are not alone at all in that. A lot of Republicans feel abandoned by the Republican Party. I got great news about how far to the right the Democratic Party has slid over the past decade. You're gonna love them. In terms of just specifically Kamala Harris and what she's talking about, and why I think it would be up your alley, is that she's talking about cutting taxes for like middle and low class, low earners in America, for working people, and raising taxes specifically just on the top 1%. So we can fill in the budget deficits that we've been having and take it from people who don't fucking need any more money, that already have way too much and are using that money to fund political corruption and large scale government that you don't like. People like Musk, who are donating millions of dollars to influence elections in the way that they want, that then benefits their country, their company, and institutes this ridiculous corporatocracy that we've been living under. Kamala Harris wants to lower taxes for everyday Americans and raise taxes on the top earners. She also wants to lower food and grocery costs, and again, make it just better for people who don't care about buying a third yacht, but do care about feeding their kids and taking care of their family. And speaking of kids, she also wants to give tax credits to people who are new parents, and people who are new home buyers, and make sure that those people have a fighting chance. So I don't know what your age is there, but I know that, like, I'm a millennial, my generation,
mid-30s.
We're not. So you're in the same boat. Yeah, Jim, we're not buying fucking houses anytime soon. But this is a big step in that direction to try to make that work. Prescription drug costs are another thing she has already worked to lower, and is now wanting to expand further on that and lower prescription drug costs even further. Lower energy costs is another thing that she's big on, that she's got on her website. So like over and over and over, she is trying to make life more livable for average Americans, for the vast majority of us, as well as getting big government out of the lives of women and of LGBT people and of immigrants and immigration is a thing that's a totally different issue, but like of disabled folks, trying to make these people have the bodily autonomy and the same opportunity to achieve the American dream that the rest of us do, without the government breathing down their necks and telling them how to live their lives and what to do with their bodies. So she is doing quite a bit to try to make this small government, financially responsible government, a reality for you. And I think for somebody who could have ever called themselves a conservative, I think that she would be quite an attractive candidate to say that this is someone who is guaranteeing a little bit more equality and a little bit more freedom or at least running on the platform of those things, for everyday Americans, and trying to reduce governmental power. And this is where I would then launch into a tirade of, as opposed to the fucking fascist who's running against her. But that's a whole other discussion. I think, like you said, you and I already agree on.
Yeah.
We don't need to get in there. That's my main shtick. I've got plenty more, but it's mostly about my own interests. I'm going to turn it over to Josie, who is way cooler than me, and we'll knock this out of the park.
Yeah, go for it, Jim, and then I'll
Josie,
go.
I would love. Yeah, may I respond to just what Forrest?
Yes,
please.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the personal freedom and the way that the Republican Party has attacked gay and trans people. That's awful. I mean, just let people do what they want to do. You know, I don't think that. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But your first point was, you know, we need to tax big business, and that's a core. You know, that's one of these historic conservative points where I disagree with the Democrat Party. Like, businesses should be able to operate and be able to make a profit and increase their GDP. And
the issue now is that they are making record profits while most Americans are struggling because they're not being paid fairly or taken care of, and they're being taxed all hell. So she, like, in under Trump's tax plan, I know we're not trying to talk shit about Trump, but under Trump's tax plan, we're talking about doing the exact opposite. We're talking about raising taxes on the middle and lower classes and cutting taxes for the top, I believe, 10%, especially big tax cuts for the top 1%. All we're doing here is we're trying to level the playing field a little bit. Corporations and big businesses and all these things, they're making more money than they ever have before. And yet we remain in a recession where we can't afford eggs, we can't afford bread, we can't afford houses, we can't afford gas, people can't afford to live. There's not a single state in the U.S. where you can afford an average one-bedroom apartment on a minimum wage salary at 40 hours a week. And so this country is clearly not actually structured for average everyday people anymore. It is structured for big corporations to make more money. And it's not just enough to run their business. It's enough for them to build a penis-shaped rocket and go to space and play like a cowboy, like Bezos did. So like, that's what we're actually talking about. Go ahead, Josie.
Let me jump in. So Jim, just to let you know, I speak fluent conservative. I was born and raised in, small town, rural Texas. I served in the United States military because my number one reason was patriotism. I actually started my university career as a business major, switching it later to political science to better understand the Constitution and American politics, and studying the philosophers that the founding fathers actually looked at, and that was the main crux that actually started shifting me to the more of the ideological spectrum that I sit now as, a leftist, but I'm an institutional progressive, I guess, in a weird sense. But I am, So for me, it's like, I'll say this. Right now, the way the structures and everything are set up, and yes, there are things that America and corporate understanding, and the way that conservatism used to be was about the theory of competition, right? Being able to set up your own storefront and be able to compete in the free market, to be able to actually then create your own products, have competition, be able to actually get labor and actually do the job. And that's what made America beautiful. That was where the middle class came from, where you could actually start your own business and be able to do that. One of the things that right. So that was where the crux is, right? But the problem is that there's been a massive consolidation of these businesses being bought up by these larger corporations because they've been getting such a fair break since, the 80s, right? Their profits have been going up and they've been gobbling up companies around them, right? That's why Kamala Harris actually wants to give $50,000 tax credits to businesses to start their own businesses, right? Because she believes in the free market economy and that capitalist spirit where someone like yourself, Jim, can have a good idea, go apply and actually get a $50,000 loan to actually start your own business to be able to compete in this market. So what we're trying to do and trying to balance the book here is make the bigger corporations pay a little bit more, right? Because we're talking about 21% where you and I are paying 35, 40%, right? In our taxes. So we need to make sure that they're paying their fair share. I know it's a buzzword, but it actually is true, right? When you're looking at 21% versus, 40%, that is just not right, right? So when you're actually looking at putting businesses in a place where they're forced to be able to compete with small businesses across the country, this allows us to actually move that money around. So yeah, we're going to tax corporations a little bit more, but that means we can then dole out that money to the small business owner, the mom and pop shop, and bring back the downtowns that we used to have in rural America, right? This is how we're going to be able to inject real money into the economy in these smaller areas instead of giving more money to, the big box stores like Walmart's and McDonald's and Best Buys and all of that type of stuff. We could actually see those small burger shops open up in small America. We can actually start seeing electronic stores open up in America where people can start competing and actually walk a downtown and have an option of selection for purchasing, right? And that's just one policy, right? That's just one thing, which is going to be a really good thing. And when we're talking about the mortgage thing, we're talking about $25,000 in your pocket for a down payment on a house, right? And also increasing the housing stock by 3 million homes. These are policies that Harris is bringing forward right now that actually creates economic growth, right? You're talking about housing builders, contractors being able to actually have work to be able to start building homes. And when you actually have somebody that has $25,000 in their pocket plus $50,000 to start their own business, they can actually go into rural America and smaller suburbs and actually start their American dream, right? Because in reality, that's what we want to try to make sure that we establish. And what I have seen from all of the work and the research and understanding that I have in economic policy to be able to see that is really, really powerful. And when you talk about the grocery cost, right, that's something that affects everybody's pocketbooks right now. We're talking about price gouging, right? We're talking about companies that have made record profits during a pandemic where everybody had to tighten their belt for a pandemic to make sure that we can weather that. Corporations were raising the prices on these groceries to continue to make the same level of profits for their stakeholders the entire time. So when we're looking at corporate price gouging, that's what we're looking at, right? Why didn't corporations also have to tighten their belt when there was a pandemic? No, they made record profits and stock buybacks were up during a global pandemic. That is a problem, and that's what we're looking at. We're trying to put a cop on the beat to make sure that these corporations aren't running roughshod over people who don't have the money to actually protect themselves. So the money is going to a good place. We're just lifting it up just a little bit, right? And I want to also say this about, the argument about raising taxes actually makes businesses actually leave the country. That's been proven false because of the fact that most CEOs and corporate people that raising families, let's say the people in Connecticut, the people in New York, the people in Florida that are big business owners, CEOs, they're not going to uproot their entire families and move to Sweden. Who's going to have that conversation with that teenage girl, daughter, right? Saying, we're going to leave your high school where you've made all of your friends because my corporate taxes went up by 5 to 10%. That's a fantasy. That isn't actually the case because people want to live in America. People don't want to just leave America, right? So there's a lot of things that happen. So I understand your economic arguments, and that's why I have seen this economic policy, and I actually see real opportunity for our country to grow from the middle out, right? Bringing money to the people that need it the most So then it starts to go out, right? Because if a small business needs to buy computers, well, guess what? The big company that sells computers is also going to make a profit too, right? The person that's able to buy that computer from their local shop is going to be able to then buy that money locally, so then they can actually push that money into their local economy instead of sending it to New York City, instead of sending it to California. They're actually going to be able to use that and stimulate their own local economies. That's where I think about when I think of economic growth. What do you have to say to that, Jim?
Yeah, I really appreciate your answer. I think you are approaching this the right way. Like I say, I think you get the conservative point of view on this. I do want to ask some clarifying questions with this, and maybe it was just me and I missed it. But I'm not understanding two things. Number one, why is small business better than the big business? And aren't you just taking money from the big business and giving it to small business? And how would that help? And also, what is actually Harris going to do? I heard you say, oh, these things are bad. The corporate profits are up, but what is Harris going to institute to fix these issues that you're talking about?
Sure. So the first one is we've already seen it in reverse for the last 40 years, right? Where we had small businesses and middle-sized businesses in communities go belly up, and then bigger corporations then bought them all up, right? So we've already seen the opposite effect for the last 40 years. So if you want to think about where we are in America currently, right? This didn't happen overnight, right? We didn't just wake up one day. We all saw it. Like you said, you're a millennial, I'm a millennial, right? We all saw our economy crumble since the early 90s, right? This isn't something that just we woke up one morning and it's like, oh my gosh, the economy is a mess. We had housing crises in 2008. We had an internet.com bubble burst in 2000. We saw large factories get shipped overseas in the late 1980s, right? Like, we saw all of these indicators that have completely shuttered our economy's ability to actually have competitive growth. Right. And so one of the things that, and this is one of the things that we have to remember as, people in our 30s, millennials, is that we've never seen that economy in our adult lives, right? We've never actually seen the 1960s economy where everybody could buy a home at $20,000, for $20,000. We haven't seen an economy where you can actually go work for a factory for 20 years and have a pension that's actually going to let you retire with dignity and actually leave something behind for your kids. We've actually lived in an economy where it is the current status quo for almost 20 years now, which is large corporations like Apple and Microsoft and Google and all of these big corporations that are pretty much like leading the show, while smaller organizations and smaller companies have been shuttered. Right. And right now, like Forrest said, we're top heavy right now. Right. We have all of these really giant corporate powers, and we need to start bringing some of that power back to the middle class small business. And you asked the specific question about how does small businesses boost the economy? Well, here's how it works, right? So, and I'll go step by step on this. So let's say I'm just going to use you as an example. Let's say you make a small business. You take $50,000, right? And you use that $50,000 and you start, let's say, I'm going to say make donuts, right? I'm just going to use something really simple. You're making donuts, right? And you're making the best donuts in town, and you're able to compete with Dunkin'. You're able to compete with all of these other shops, and you are creating really great donuts, and people are going to your shop. But the difference here, Jim, is that you would live in the community that you're making donuts for, right? So therefore, when you go and purchase items such as toiletries, such as going to restaurants, buying a home, if it's really successful, maybe you're buying a house now, the employees that work for you, that go to school locally, all of those little things all happen because you are the the owner of that company, and all of that money stays localized within the community. Better schools for tax, you'll have better schools because more people are making more money, so there's more tax income for the schools to be able to make. There's better infrastructure because maybe your donut shop is so good that people are tired of the street being bumpy on the way to your store, so people started saying, hey, we need to make a better road here because it's actually starting to develop, right? So therefore the beautification of your hometown starts looking better, right? Like all of those little things start adding up to local economic growth. But if you are a Dunkin' Donuts, right, now most of that profit is going outside of your community, right? It's going to the corporate CEOs, it's going to the stakeholders, it's going to New York Wall Street, and not actually going to the community where you're going to be able to make a bigger impact, right? Because if you have $200,000 a year, say from this really successful donut shop that you've created, the person who's managing the Dunkin' Donuts isn't making $200,000 a year. So there's less money available for the community to actually grow. Right. So that's what I mean by a middle out economy, where you give middle class people the ability to start their own businesses. So therefore that middle class person can start contributing to their local economy instead of the big corporate economies that are the money is being outsourced to. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. I appreciate that answer, Josie. Thank you. Yeah, that actually, that really, that was good.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
And
go ahead. Oh, you had a second question. I didn't answer it.
Right. Just in general, with this, I don't even know, with the political climate, it seems like I'm not getting arguments that are pro Harris. Like you're saying even here, and you're not doing the thing where it's Trump is bad, right? But you're still just saying, oh well, the economy is bad, things are bad, and I'm not getting what Harris is doing. And like Forrest was saying specifically, like right now these things are bad. Well, what are you talking about now? Now is under Biden. So what is the pro Harris to fix all these things?
So that's it though, right? Like the policies that I just stated are Harris policies, right? Also, you got to think about Harris was the tie-breaking vote for bringing down insulin costs and no more than $35. Harris was the tiebreaker vote in the Infrastructure Act as well. As vice president, she's actually broken more ties, and I believe this is correct. You can double check me on this, but I think she's broken more ties as a vice president in American history, right? Because we have such a split Senate, right?
You mean as far as being the Speaker of the House?
No, being the president of the Senate, right? As vice president, you break ties in the Senate, right? So she actually has broken more ties in the Senate than any other vice president in American history. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. And you can double check me on that. So what that means is she's actually probably one of the most active policy people that has actually been around when it comes to actually making sure legislation passes the Senate, right? Which is very unique for a vice president. So she is very attached to a lot of the things that the Biden economy has started, right? Because like there is we're talking about 4 years, right? When things change, like Jim, the things that I'm talking about right now, right? When I talked about, remember how I said the destruction of our economy happened over the last 40 years, right? We're talking about 4 decades, right? Of policies that have completely put us into the position that we're in. I believe what Biden has started is the beginning of the next 40 years, right? Where it's like, we need to make these policies back to the original way that that made our government thrive back in the 1960s, right? That's high union membership, high small business ownership, high ownership of homes, right? Like good infrastructure projects, good schools, all of that stuff existed in the 60s, right? So we have to, we're bringing back a lot of of those FDR type policies that really did help us bring in that economy, right? Because think about it, right? We're talking about the 1960s right now, right? Before that was the recovery from the Great Depression, right? That didn't happen overnight either. It took several decades of economic work and growth and a World War II, to get back out of that the depression into the thriving golden era, which people would say the 1960s for the economy, not civil rights, for the economy. That when you see all of that growth, right, then you start seeing everything degrade, and then you start seeing everything start to falter back into the 1980s, early 1980s, late 1970s. So when you start seeing that, and you start seeing the policy switches switch, you start seeing the economy that we now have 40 years later. So we have to be realistic, Jim. We have to be realistic, and we have to look at the economy. These switches take a long time to grow, like and see effect, right? But if we have hundreds or thousands, tens of thousands of small businesses thrive over the next decade, think about how much growth that would be all over the country, right? If we were to see 3 million homes be built, and people, young people like us, being able to purchase homes again, now we're starting to see, you were talking about conservative values, right? Now we're starting to see people actually own homes so they can actually start families and stability, right? Like, that's a big issue right now, is that people can't afford houses, so they can't afford houses, so they don't start families. That is why there's so many single parent, like single kid households, so many, you know, maybe two. Back then, there used to be many kids in the household because there was an economic stability that people could hold on to a job with a good union pension and still be able to raise a family of 4, right? Like, you know, or family of 6, right? Like, that is the reality. So when we're talking about all of these things, this isn't going to happen overnight. And this is why elections, right, is a strategic move on the chessboard, right? We don't need to make voting a moral thing. We need to make voting the best move on the chessboard, even in the position where we have to sacrifice something, right? And that's where we are.
Mhm.
And that's why it's so critical for you to be able to vote, to make sure it's like, no, this is the best move that we're going to make. We have 4 years to see how it works. Then we'll do it again in 4 years, and we'll do it again in 4 years. And maybe in 2 decades, we'll see an economy that you want to see right now. Right. And
see,
it
that's
sucks
interesting
politics.
because it is, for me, it is a moral decision. I don't agree with Trump morally, the things that he's done personally, so I can't vote for him politically. But
Sure.
with Harris, I don't see the. I mean, you've definitely made an argument, and I do appreciate it. And I see it, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's still just me, but I'm hearing she's for small business, and I don't really see much else of a, you know, again, like the pro Harris. Like, if I could get like 3
You're
points, like,
trans.
these are what she's gonna do.
You're a trans, non-binary person, I'm assuming, right? I'm trans. I'm a trans woman, right? We'll be able to possibly see the Equality Act actually passed, right? That's actually something that she's willing to actually sign if it goes across her desk. She's willing to see the filibuster ended, which is another huge thing that would allow us to actually start legislating really important pieces of legislation, because as the former president of the Senate, or as the president of the Senate now, she understands how gridlocked the Senate is, so we can actually start seeing bills be passed. We can see from the price gouging stuff, we can see the equality stuff of making sure that trans people have access to body autonomy. We have the reproductive access argument that she wants to make sure that we codify that. She wants to make sure that we actually possibly the Supreme Court picks, so we have more of a discerning Supreme Court where it's not one-sided. Because if you believe, as a conservative, you would believe that bipartisanship matters. So we should actually have that court to be able to actually have good conversation rather than it being one way or the other. We have so much that Harris is actually bringing to the table that is actually going to generate not only economic growth, safety publicly for the people who are trans and non-binary and also people who need reproductive rights access. We have the fact that she wants to legalize cannabis is a thing that she also wants to do, which would also lower the incarceration rates of people who are in prison right now because of weed.
We also ton of money on taxes.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So and we spent a lot of time on this call, but I can say a lot of things, right, about what Harris will bring. Right. And for me, I said your vote doesn't have to be moral one, right? Maybe I was a little bit too forceful, but there's a lot of moral reasons why you should vote for Harris as well. And trans issues is a big one for me because as a trans woman, as somebody who served as a veteran, right, is a very, very important thing for me because my hormone access is available through the VA, right? I started my transition through the Veterans Administration, right? And I know I didn't want to dog on Trump, but I will say this one thing about it, right? He wants to actively remove my access to healthcare because it's funded through the government through the VA, while Harris has actively said she's going to protect it. Right. So for me on that moral issue, that actually matters a lot too. Right. So there's a lot of policies, and especially ones that are so polar, that I think it's important to say. But protecting that is really important. And the reason I had to bring up Trump there is because it's actively being fought. Right. So I want somebody who's going to be there to protect it when Republicans in the House have already said they want to get rid of it. Right. And that's my service, right? I served in the United States military. I was promised that I was going to be taken care of after war. And that's a conservative value, right? And the fact that they're trying to take my health care away.
Trump's stance on the military is awful.
Yeah, exactly, right. So that's really where it's at, Jim. And I know we have a lot of calls on the line, so I want to make sure that we have time for them. Yeah, but I want to know, with all of this information, are you more likely to vote for Harris now?
Yes. I'd say I'm more likely. You've definitely made some persuasive arguments and brought up points that I didn't really understand.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, Jim, I would recommend, this is why I just shut the fuck up, and I've been just sitting here like sending messages and doing other things this whole time because Josie is so unbelievably informed in this whole thing and so much better at this than I will ever hope to be. So she just dumped a lot of cool stuff here. I encourage you to go back. This call is 33 minutes of just her spitting straight facts. So I would encourage you to go back and just re-listen to it and see if there's anything special that comes up. We're doing more and more shows up until the election. So if there's something else that comes up that you're like, yo, okay, this one thing is still a sticking point for me, then feel free to call us back if you can. And even if you can't, take a second to consider the other options. None of us here like Trump, but the other options of what you could vote for, even if there's something that just kind of sticks out at you and you're like, okay, this is a little bit weird, take a look at the other candidates on that same issue and see if it makes any sense. Or give us a call back and we'd be happy to elaborate on it a little bit more, especially if Josie's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Forrest, thank you so much. I'm a huge fan of yours. I hope that we disagree on something someday in the future and I can call back and have a conversation with you.
That'd be a lot of fun. All right, take care, Jim. Thank you so much. I appreciate you calling.
All right, thank you. Thank you both.
Bye-bye. That was an absolute masterclass. Yo, well done. Well done.
You. Appreciate it.
Holy crap. Also, the person in the chat who says that pro-Trump and pro-Harris aren't words in the dictionary, and therefore this is a weird that is actually, I commended them publicly in the chat. I will commend them publicly here. That is actually legitimately the dumbest argument I think I have heard all day, if not all week. That is insane. Wow. With that, we've got a bunch more calls on the line, and I'm excited to get to all of them. We have one person's been voting for a long time. I'm going to make you wait for a little bit longer, I'm afraid. because I want to take this one that I think is important for right now while we're here on it. We've got Mike calling in from Aluminum Legs. That's neat. Pronouns he, him, says there's been a lot of misinformation on this show so far. And today, you and I have been spewing some misinformation and wants to address it. I want to see what misinformation we've been spewing. I'm interested to hear it. Mike, you are on the line with Forrest and Josie. What have we gotten wrong in your opinion?
Hey, good evening. Appreciate the call, or appreciate answering the call. One of the things that actually drove me to kind of call in, and then I listened a little bit more, was the comment that was made about us paying 40% in taxes, and the higher businesses and the corporations are paying 21%, when in reality, the average tax rate paid by the American people is about 15%, not 40%. And that's taking into account that the top 50% of people in the United States are paying about 97% of the taxes altogether. So with that, I'll kind of pause for a response on that fact.
Sure. So are you talking? Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
No, that's fine. You probably have something better.
I'm
double checking the numbers. I'm currently double checking the numbers. You go.
Okay, fine. So you, Mike, you said the average population of America, right? Is that what you said?
Yes, across all of America is about 15%, give or take. In terms of the percentage of taxes based on the progressive system.
Are you using income tax?
Yes.
So you're saying, so the median average, so when you're talking about that, like, it's like saying, like, okay, if I average all of the pay in the United States as far as income brackets, you would see that it would be like $68,000 a year, when the median is actually much lower than that.
In terms of, what do you mean by that?
So like, if you're averaging, like, so there is a way to, like, look at the way that you're talking about it, right? Like, when you say the median income of people, right, and you look across the line, you will see that people are paying generally about 35%.
That's not true at all.
So what do you? So where are you looking?
Average income of people, based on the fact of us being in a progressive tax system, where the first, based on the tax deduction that we get for about $27,000, if I'm a little bit off in terms of 2024, being tax credit, the actual, you're paying about 12% of taxes up until about 70, 80 grand worth of income. That's only 10%, so 10 to 12% right there. And then as you go up in the progressive tax system, you're not going up to 40%. In fact, as far as a percentage of taxes, I don't even think the top 1% pay 40% in their income tax. I think that's only 35%.
So, and you're not counting state, and you're not counting sales tax either, right? This is just flat federal.
Flat federal income tax, right? And I mean, if you include when you start, state's not going to add into being 40%.
Well, it adds up pretty quick, right? So when you start adding in, well, you start adding in the state tax, and then you start adding in sales tax, that tax rate goes up pretty high pretty quickly.
Depending on the state you're in. I can agree
especially
with that.
Like, if you own a home, then you also have you have the tax that you have to pay on that as well. Like, there is a lot of inputs that add the tax, and right now, and I'm trying to find the exact number when it comes to.
But are you saying that corporations don't pay sales tax, don't pay property mortgage tax, don't pay?
Actually, a lot of corporations actually don't pay taxes on goods and things, right? Because that would create a double tax system, right? So, like, if you buy a widget, right, that goes into a product, then that product is tax free, and then you build the widget, and then you tax the widget for sales tax on the consumer. Now, if you're buying a computer that's already built and you're using that for work, yes, you pay sales tax on that. But if you are selling that to the consumer, then no, you're not getting taxed on that. Unless you're paying a tariff.
But I'm saying
unless you're paying a tariff,
if we're looking at the
and then you're paying the taxes.
If you're looking at the individual, because corporations are just a collaboration of individuals. Corporation is not some big guy with a top hat and everything. They're a bunch of people that come together and run a company at the end of the day.
Right, but when you see the effective tax rate of like Amazon and things like that, you'll see that it's like effectively zero.
For the corporation
because of all the tax breaks.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, but that's still a lot. That's zero. So regardless if like what your federal income tax is, because you're not including state tax, you're not including sales tax in those numbers, and also property tax and all of that type of stuff. When you have a corporation making billions and billions in profit and they're paying zero taxes on that, that's still not paying their fair share.
But what are they getting the tax breaks for, would be my question. Because they're not just getting tax breaks because the government is happy to give them money. They're showing some kind of benefit.
They should get zero? Do you think that they should pay zero?
I'm saying that they're showing some kind of benefit. I'm not saying that they should get zero. And I've never said that they should get zero taxes. I'm saying that the information and saying that corporations as this big thing in the sky pay zero versus the little guy pays 40% really gives a misconception of the amount of taxes.
But we would also say too that the corporate leaders of these companies are also paid differently as well, right? A shareholder or like a person, their effective tax rate is even lower because they don't make money via income tax. They make money via shares and things like that. So then they're taxed at even a lower bracket than the American people,
when they get to
even
that
at
level,
15%. Yeah, that's what I mean. So again, it's still not a fair system.
Well, it's not like people are born that way for the most part. I mean, if you look at the numbers, 80% of millionaires are first-generation millionaires.
Millionaires? I'm talking about old money, my friend. Millionaires, they get laughed at by the old money. I'm talking about the one.
A millionaire is much closer to you than a billionaire. Just think about it for a second.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. But at the same time, when we're talking about increasing the tax rate of people who, for example, Harris has talked about the unrealized capital gains and taxing those, that's not just affecting the billionaires, that's also affecting the millionaires. That's also affecting people with IRAs, with 401ks, with those kind of investments to try and get to that piece and get that American dream.
But those retirement packages and retirement products are very different. We're not talking about retirement products.
That's all unrealized capital gains.
But that's not taxed. Yeah. Like it depends on what retirement package. Yeah. You're talking about retirement packages.
I happen to have the page up right now because I was digging around, like trying to figure, because taxes is certainly not my strong suit. So I'm trying to do a little bit of digging here. And I happen to be on the page right now when you're talking about this, that the richest 0.5% of taxpayers receive 70.2% of all long-term capital gains and 43.3% of all dividends. So that's certainly a big disparaging thing. So if you're sitting here talking about millionaires, like, holy crap, millionaires don't matter. Millionaires and you are indistinguishable from the viewpoint of the top 0.5% of fucking multi-billionaires that live in this country that are getting this insane amount of wealth. That's what Josie and what I'm understanding Kamala are talking about.
But my point is the collateral damage that you're doing to, if you're going to tax capital gains, if somebody has a mutual fund or an investment or something to that effect, they're going to be affected, whether it's pennies to a billionaire or not. They're still going to be affected by that, and you're still going to cause collateral damage to them. So is it worth doing a buckshot to try and get to those billionaires at the expense of the millionaires and the everyday people trying to save up?
I'm pretty sure, isn't it like you have to have so much X number of dollars before those unrealized capital gains are actually taxed? I thought you had to have
it's a pretty high bar if I remember right.
Yeah, like this isn't going to affect your average American. This is going to affect the people that are the highest earners that are.
We're talking about people who could lose literally 99% of their wealth and still be the richest people in the country here. Like, that's what we're actually talking about.
And we're not advocating for removing all of that wealth either. Well, some ways, but not really. But you know, at the end of the day, we're talking about you're like, Mike, this is the thing, right? When we start talking about these really unrealized capital gains, and you start talking about the wealth tax and things like that, which Harris, I don't think, has said anything about a wealth tax, but actually having this is talking about the highest of the highest income earners in the entire country. So it's if you're not making more than $400,000 a year in income, this isn't going to really affect you at all. Right. And you're talking about $400,000 a year. I don't know many people that make that much money. Do you, Mike?
Well, I mean, you've got your people that have gone to school and created or taken out
I don't even make near that.
Of student loans. Well, what I'm saying is you've got people who've gone to either law school or medical school that have taken out hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans that are making that much when they get into the business, get the experience and everything at that point.
But they're
I do know friends of mine
surgeons don't even make $400,000 a year unless they're the top.
Depends on the specialty. They do.
Right.
And I have a friend of mine who went to school for 15 years to become a surgeon, to get the experience and everything. And I don't know exactly how much he makes, but he does make up in that range. And if you put the money into investments and everything, it is fairly reasonable to say that somebody that went through that could be making that amount from their investments, even if they weren't born into it.
Yeah. So
my only point is that as far as I get the point of the billionaires and the 1% and all of that. My point is when we're talking these kind of policies, they're hitting a broad scope of people that won't necessarily be in that. And I know, not necessarily saying that I'm reading the chat or anything, because I'm not really reading it close, but I see a couple of comments about, those poor millionaires. Well, that's a lot of people that are saving up in their retirement, saving up for years, 40 years plus, to try and get to a retirement, that now they're just the evil rich people.
I'm scrolling through. Yeah, no, they are evil rich people, but that's a different discussion. I'm just scrolling through. You're talking about how these people are so wealthy because they went to school for so long and worked so hard to learn these things. I just looked up the richest billionaire in each state and then breaking down the source of their actual wealth here. Just go in an alphabetical order by state. So in no particular order that would actually matter for this conversation. We've got real estate, Walmart, Facebook, Amazon, Chick-fil-A, agriculture, Coke Industries, Raising Cane's, real estate, Quicken Loans, casino, solar energy, hotels, retail, Nike. These are the major sources of income. I'm just reading it. It's a random list here for the purpose of what we're talking about here. Those are the richest people. So do you really think that, for example, Elon Musk actually went to school for a long time, got a lot of student loans, worked really hard, and learned how to build rocket ships and electric cars? Or do you think he was born very rich, became even more rich because of his family's generational wealth and influence, bought up a bunch of companies that made him even more rich? That's where he's at now. That you can maybe you want to go to the Waltons and say, well, they started a company and that became very wealthy. Okay, they didn't go to business school and law school and learn how to run a super company. This is completely different. Amazon, Jeff Bezos did not go Jeff take out a bunch of student loans to learn how to be But how was he able to do that?
By working through it. I mean, it's not like he just started out granted, he didn't start from nothing.
Millions of dollars Yes, it is. It isn't like he started from nothing, because he was given lots and lots of money from wealthy family members and was able to like risk a lot of things that normal people wouldn't be able to risk, and pay off a lot of things that normal people wouldn't be able to. So like, these are people, when we're talking about millionaires, sure, a big proportion of them might be nouveau riche. But when we're talking about billionaires, when we're talking about the richest people in the world, at least in this country, these are not people who just pulled themselves up by their proverbial bootstraps. These are people with massive amounts of generational wealth and a massive safety net, huge cushion, huge amounts of personal loans from family members. It's weird to even call them loans. Like, you have to understand, you and a millionaire, a multimillionaire who just earned all that money, and a homeless person on the street, all three of you are so much more alike and have so much more in common from a financial and lifestyle aspect than any one of the billionaires on this list. It is an absolute night and day, unbelievable comparison. And it sounds to me like you're buying into this capitalist propaganda that like you're not actually poor, you're just a temporarily embarrassed billionaire, and that everybody could just become a billionaire someday, as if we could all get a small $1 million loan from our families.
I'm not saying anybody could become a billionaire, but anybody could become a billionaire.
Because the only way to do that is through massive exploitation and usually generational wealth.
So you know what, Mike, I just did something. I actually was like, I know I paid a lot of fucking taxes this last year. And I as I looked at all of this, I paid like money to the government. Like I make enough money now, I actually pay money in my federal income taxes. And I paid like 32%. Like, and I'm not like a wealthy person that's like running like corporations and things like this. So like, you saying that I only paid 15%, I was like, that doesn't sound fucking right at all. Like, I pay a shit ton of taxes. So like, I'm just looking at like
all of your sales tax as well.
I'm not including my sales tax. I'm just including my Maryland and federal taxes. I paid a lot of money. Like it's pretty ouch. Like, you know, so like, you know, so like I feel it every tax year. I set aside like $1,000 a year just extra, just to make sure that I got all my money set aside for tax season. Right? Like that is a very real thing for me. And I'm like, yes, am I a leader in a national nonprofit? Yes, I am. But I still pay like a lot of taxes, and I know a lot of people who do too. It's like Mike, do you only pay 15% of your taxes when you did your taxes at the end of the year? Have you like looked at like how much money you paid in taxes and then?
Well, there are, I think it's 7 or 8 states that don't have state income tax.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Mike.
I'm lucky enough that I'm also not making, you know, the minimal amount, so I do pay a lot of taxes myself. Yes.
So that's what I'm saying, Mike. Like you called in and you're like, we don't pay that much taxes. I'm like, I beg to differ, my friend. Like I will benefit deeply from the Harris tax cuts, actually, as a person in the, like, you know, lower middle class in my book, right? Like for me, it's like I am a stable, surviving person, but if I had more money, like I could actually put more money into my local economy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Mike, like, yes, maybe I was wrong about 40%, but like, it's still 30 plus, right? And so when we actually started this conversation, you're like, oh, but you're wrong. It's like, but people like Elon Musk pay literally nothing. And we're talking about like minor raises in their taxes, so they pay their fair share, because I know I pay more taxes percentage wise than Elon Musk does, than Donald Trump does, than a lot of these people. So I don't get what you're saying, Mike. Like, are you saying that that's not right?
First I'm saying that Elon Musk paying 0%, Warren Buffett paying 0%. Those billionaires, yes, I agree with you. Paying 0% is not contributing as much as they probably should be, let's say. So I agree with you on that.
That's what we're talking about, right? That's the policies that we're talking about, right? We want to make sure we close these loopholes that they use through capital gains a lot of times. And you know what? And there's a possibility that there's somebody out there that's just that is doing all of this work, and they've been saving since they were 20 years old, and they might get hit with but they're millionaires now because they did the right thing and they're retiring with dignity and respect, but they're still making more money than the average retiree going out. Like, that most Americans don't even have anything in their retirement fund, right? Like, it's a very scary prospect. It's like there's a phrase like dying on the Walmart floor because you're literally working till the day you die, right? Like, so it's like, when we're talking about these very high capital gains, the unrealized capital gains, and all of these like people who are making millions and billions of dollars, like, my heart doesn't bleed for them because there's people literally working till the day they die because there isn't even enough social security benefits because there's a cap on wealthiest individuals on how much money they can pay on their social security. Like, just lifting the cap alone would allow us to be able to actually make more, have people retire with dignity. So for me, it's like, I get what you're trying to say of like, well, actually, this isn't the exact number, but well, actually, Mike, there's a lot of people who are struggling right now. And every time I have to save money for tax season, and I'm not wealthy, I'm not a millionaire, I'm not even close, not even fucking close. I'm in debt, right? Because of my student loans. So for me, it's like, we have to live in the reality that we're dealt. And for me, my heart does not bleed for these uber millionaires. And I'm saying uber millionaires, right? Like, there's people who have like maybe $1 million in the bank and they had that and they're all like that, but we're not going after them. And neither is Harris, because they're not making $1 million a year.
But are they not, by the policies that are proposed, are they not part of the collateral damage? Yes, I agree with you on the uber millionaires and the billionaires, and I agree with you with that. I'm not necessarily arguing that side. But do you not see where there's the potential of those people that have been saving for 40 plus years into their retirement, where it's almost like we're saying, hey, thanks for doing the saving and everything, where you did make, those kind of really sacrifices when you were young to save for that. Thanks for doing that. We're going to lump you in with the rest of the uber billionaires in terms of
Mike,
the tax system.
We're talking about $400,000 a year is the people who are going to be affected, and you would have to have, I think it's like 8.5 million, maybe $10 million in the bank for you to fall into $400 million a year in interest from your savings, right? So $400,000 a year, Mike. Like we just talked about how that's like top tippy top tier, and people who have $10.5 million in the bank to make over $400,000 in interest from the money that they're saving, yeah, they might get a little bit of a tax hit, but overall, that's the price we pay for a society that values, equity, right? That values allowing, 85-year-old grandmas to be able to not like actually retire with dignity. You know what I mean?
That's what's so frustrating about this for me, is that like you're talking about how it's unfair to take from these people that they've worked so hard and they saved up so much and all these things. What I don't think that you understand, or at least what I haven't heard you properly address, is the fact that like these minor, even a major difference in like what you're paying in taxes has a different impact based on your original income. So like somebody who earns $40,000 a year, if you take 1% of their earnings, that's $400. That's a lot. Like if you have $40,000 a year that you're living off of, a $400 expense is night and that could be life and death. That could break the bank. That could be a serious thing that sets you back. You might have to worry about turning off the power for a month and like not not having hot water for a month. Like that's a serious issue. If you make $400,000 a year, well, now a 1% thing is $4,000. Who gives a shit? Nobody. That's fine. You're fine with that $4,000. It's not going to bother you. You might not notice it's gone. So like, to say 1%, to say we're going to, these difference in percentages between high and low, like it matters in different ways depending on who you're talking about. To say like just a 1% increase in tax, just as an example, again, that means something fundamentally differently when we're talking about the top 10%, especially the top 1% of earners, than it does for the bottom 99% of earners, because not only is it going to affect them, it's going to be a bigger chunk. So like if we say, like, again, I'm just saying 1% is just a phrase. 1% increase on the top, 1% of earners, that's millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions. That's an insane amount of money that we are putting into the economy that they genuinely would not notice is missing. That we are now funding schools, hospitals, roads, bridges, like small communities. We're building fucking dog parks with it. You know what I mean? That's billions of dollars into the community that these people do not understand is even gone, could not have possibly kept track of it. It would have cost them more money to keep track of losing that money than it would have been just to let it go. Meanwhile, if we talk about the same income tax rate on the bottom 1% of people, that is literally, actually, genuinely, no exaggeration, going to kill someone. That it means, because we live in a capitalist hellscape where you literally, if you can't afford medicine, the government's plan is you die. And so you just can't afford medicine anymore. You can't afford food anymore. You can't afford to pay rent anymore. It's over for you. So, like, it's just that's what's so frustrating about this call. Like, I'm not a tax guy. I'm not here to fucking dig into the different types of tax or anything like that. But I do understand math, and I do understand what it is to be poor, because I grew up very poor. And I understand that, like, the fundamental issue here is equity. And yeah, we can talk about equality. Everybody should pay this or that. Equity-wise, if you're making millions or billions of dollars in this country, you are not doing it without exploiting the hell out of somebody. So you are living in a very privileged way off of the backs of a lot of other people who are suffering because of your existence. You need to pay a little bit to benefit the society that allowed you to get to the place that you're at. Meanwhile, if you're down there on the bottom, being a part of that society means you should have some compassion extended your way and be taken care of. And you shouldn't have to die on the floor in a parking lot of a hospital because you couldn't afford to go in and get insulin. Like, that's the major difference that we're talking about here. The reality of the situation is life and death. And you're sitting here squibbling over numbers, and I understand that's important, but for me, I just can't care about it at all when we're talking about this person might have to buy a yacht that's a little smaller, and then this other person might fucking live. Like, I can't get it, man.
My point is, though, and the whole point that I called in and everything is, yes, I agree with you. If we're talking about the billionaires buying a yacht, all of that, yes, I'm on the same page as you. I just think there's a way that it could be done to where you target those individuals and not have the collateral damage. Because, like you said,
what collateral
the person
damage?
that makes $4,000 in terms of when you're talking capital gains, when you're talking, because if you look at the average stock market, it makes about 10% a year. So if somebody has a retirement of $4 million, they're making that $400,000. So it's not really that much in the grand scheme of things in terms of $4 million when you've been saving for 40 years with compound growth and all of that. I just think that if you're talking about those uber millionaires, uber billionaires, all that, I agree with you. There should be a way that we should be able to tax them and to go after them for the money that they're getting.
Mike, real quick. Hold on. I'm gonna since you came in with fact checking, Harris's proposal, the unrealized tax 1% is for people who have a net worth more than $100 million. I don't know a person on Earth. I did not see
that part, so that's fair.
I don't know a person on Earth that grew up in a poor home, saved enough money through a retirement plan that made over $100 million.
Mm-mm.
And if that's the case, then I received my comment, and that to me gets after those that are in that category that you're talking about. But I have not seen that, so I appreciate that information.
Yeah, you can look it up. It's on CNN. Like, I just looked it up. I'm just like, yeah, I had to double check because it just didn't sound right, Mike. Because in the reality, it's like, I do a lot of this, right? And I talk to a lot of people. And one of the biggest thing that the Harris campaign fights for is that we want to lower taxes on the middle class. And if you're going to lower taxes on the middle class, you're not going to go after people's retirement packages. Right? We have a hard enough time getting pensions for working class laborers, right? Why would we go after the people who have been good stewards of their money to get a good retirement package to actually retire with dignity? I should have looked that up sooner. I'm sorry, Mike.
I think the rest of this was productive. Honestly, like
I think so.
Mike, it's been 30 minutes.
I appreciate the information.
I think we've covered a lot. I'm going to move on to the next caller, but I appreciate you calling in.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Yeah, there's a lot of ways it could have gone. But like I said, I appreciate you covering so much of that. It's just like, I understand taxes are important. It's not my area of expertise. And also, like I said, I cannot be flexed with when it comes to like, yeah, but like this rate with this percentage, and this guy could be paying this much, and this, and what about the what was the collateral damage of the big businesses? Why should we be? And meanwhile, we've got people who legit can't afford food and medicine, and I just don't.
I know.
I have a hard time.
Right.
I understand that it's my hang up. I understand this is an important conversation. I'm not talking down to anybody who has this conversation or who is it like any of that. It's just for me, I have such a hard time taking it seriously when it comes down to that. It's just
right. It's really hard because we're talking about like realized capital gains at 28% would apply to taxpayers that make over $1 million in income, which would only affect 870,000 people. That's not even 1 million people, right? In a country of 360 million people, or close to it. I don't know the exact population, but we're getting close to that number. We're talking about less than 1 million people, right? That's 0.54% of the entire population, right? So for me, it's like my heart does not bleed, right? Maybe it's because I have no generational wealth. Everything that I've created is on my own 2 feet, right? Maybe I have a little bit of Evita Peron in my system, right? But like for me, I'm just like, I don't care.
I just don't. I gotta, man. For real though, big love to all my 100-airs out there, making it work. Good on you.
Yeah. I know.
We're here for you.
We're here.
We've got.
And I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life, right? And I'm still in fucking debt, right? I'm still fighting to get out of medical debt, like in student loan debt.
Because I just keep getting degrees, dude, and it's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a problem for us. I'm sorry.
I'm just like an addict. I need degrees more. More degrees. We've got 3 more calls left before we wrap up the show. Yes. I don't think we're doing super chats, are we?
I mean,
we have been. If you're tired, it's really your call. But
I can do them on my own if you need me to.
But like, no, it's okay. If we're doing them, I'm gonna stick.
We can be speed. Just don't do a monologue on each one.
Don't tell me what to do.
I know
Okay, so we'll do these 3 more calls and we'll do super chats. I will say the one on line number 4 is one that I'm going to save for last. I think it's probably the best one to save for last. Instead, I'm going to take this person who's been waiting for a really long time. We've got Max, pronouns he, him, calling in from Icelandic lizards. Do they even exist? Why should I care about helping Kamala get a large mandate? I don't know what that means. Let's talk about it. Max, you're on the line with Josie and Forrest. What's going on?
So what I mean by that is...
You're really quiet. Can you speak closer to the speaker?
Hello? Can you hear me now?
A little better. Yeah. Maybe
are we on
just
speakerphone or something?
Louder.
Second. Hello? Can you hear me?
There we go.
Way
Beautiful.
Better.
Thank you.
Better.
Thank you, Max.
It sounded like we were on speakerphone across the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, just my headset. Basically when I was listening in to previous live stream, I think it was with Matt. He got really mad about, people voting for third party in a safe states for Democrats.
Yeah.
And he kept bringing up this idea that didn't really make any sense to me, which is that Harris needs a large mandate in order to carry out her policies. And
yes, so go ahead.
Yeah, and to me, it doesn't really make sense because, if there's something she can do with executive action, if she's the president, no one's going to stop her. At worst, the next Republican president will just repeal it. And if it is something that the Congress needs to do, then, it's just based on whether or not you vote for your local representative or senator.
So Max, I hear you. Now, have you ever heard of the phrase "mandate to lead"?
No.
Okay, so what that generally means, and mandate is it's a very highly political term, and essentially what a mandate to lead is like if you go and you run in a local election. I'm going to use local elections because I think it's a little bit easier to understand at a smaller scale than a larger national scale. So typically in a mandate to lead is like if you win an election and it's an effing blowout, let's say you get 60% of the vote and the other opponent gets like less than 40% of the vote. And you're in like you're like running as a small town mayor, right? Usually what that means is like, wow, this person has a mandate to lead, meaning that they have higher levels of political capital. Now, I'm getting real abstract here, okay? Do you understand the concept of political capital, Max?
Not that well.
Okay, great. Don't worry. This is like political science, like 301 type stuff. All right. So when you think about political capital, you think about like a person can only do so much before somebody starts pushing back. Right. So like if a person has a mandate to lead, they have a lot of political capital, meaning that like the first thing that small town mayor is like, they ran on fixing the major thoroughfare in their town, right? Like it's bumpy, it's broken, it's going to cost a lot of money in the infrastructure. So the first thing that they want to do is they want to pass a really big infrastructure bill that's going to cost the city, like, they have to bond it. They're going to have to spend $1 billion to like build that road, and they're going to be able to fix the street lights. They're going to underground the power lines. They're going to go in and fix the sewage pipes. They're just going to go in and they're just going to just go to town, right? And it's the first thing that mayor does. Just what the mayor ran on. It was like the big campaign thing. And therefore, so if you win by 65%, that person has a mandate to lead. Most of the voters were like, I will like this guy's thoughts or this woman's thoughts. She really wanted to make sure that those freaking roads were fixed, right? That has a lot of political capital. The city council is probably going to be like, yeah, whatever. The county is probably going to approve whatever it needs to do because this person won by such a large margin. That means they're popular, right? To go against that mayor that won an election that wanted this infrastructure package would be political suicide, because then that mayor in the next election will be like, all these city council people, remember when you wanted that street fixed? Well, those assholes didn't let me do it when you elected me to do the job. Right. And then they lose their job, right? Because they went against the political flow, the mandate to lead from that mayor. So that's what that means. Now, let's say they pass that infrastructure bill, say they bonded out a couple $2 billion and the town was like, we went into debt to freaking build infrastructure. And then all of a sudden that mayor is like, I want to build a stadium now. I want to build a stadium so this sports team, this billionaire is coming in, I'm going to help them pay for the stadium. They don't have enough political capital, and it's easier for the city council to be like, screw you and your stadium. You're not going to be able to get that stadium because you spent up all your political capital to put this town in debt so people can actually have a road that works, right? And so when the larger the mandate, the more political capital that mayor can have, right? Now, let's not use a stadium. Let's say like it's not a stadium after they do the infrastructure bill, but let's say they want to bond some schools, right? And they're like, oh, well, there's no air conditioning in the schools. So I want to give the school board more money so they can allocate more money to build air conditioning in the schools, right? I'm using a really bad example because I'm talking about Hatch Act laws and blah, blah, but we're going to ignore all that. But I don't care what you're saying about schools and city. What are you talking about, Josie? Fine, we'll use public libraries. So let's say they want to open up the hours of public libraries a little bit, right? The mayor, if they won by a good margin, it's like, well, the mayor's pretty popular. Fine, we'll open up the school libraries for a few more hours. Now kids can do their homework at school, after school, right? Or after school. Eventually, you start running out of capital. So when you have a larger mandate, that means you have more ability to do things. So if, let's say Kamala Harris wins the election by like 10 electoral college votes, right? It's a squeaker, but she won the popular vote by 60%, right? Everybody's like, oh my God, she may have squeaked by with the electoral college, but 60% of the country said that they're voting for her. That means all of these Congress people, all of these senators, all of these other people who are like, Harris is incredibly popular in my congressional district. I better do whatever the hell she wants or my seat's in trouble in the future, right? Same type of thing with the mayor, but at a larger scale, right? So she wins the popular vote by 60%, but she barely wins the electoral college vote. She still has a very large mandate to lead, meaning her first 100 days of presidency will be more effective. So when we're talking about all these things that we were talking about earlier on the show, right, where we're talking about the mortgage to $25,000, the small business loans, increasing the taxes, lowering the middle class taxes, her package that she proposes in that first 100 days can get a lot more broad and a lot bigger and a lot more powerful because she's like, I won with 60% of the vote. What do you got? Right? And that is what she will be able to use as a politician and really have a lot of political capital because her mandate to lead is larger. Right?
Okay.
Because if she squeaks by with so she squeaks by with like 51% of the popular vote and she squeaks by with the electoral college. Well, now people have a little bit more strength to be like, you barely won. You're going to be a lame duck president. You don't even have a large mandate to lead. Oh, you want to get that infrastructure bill, or not infrastructure, but you want to get that mortgage thing done? No, you're doing border, right? Like now you're forced to do that, right? So that allows Harris to have more leverage to be able to push the policies that we're all voting for popularly across the country that got her that mandate to lead.
It makes sense, what if it's like as you described, so like say like Joe Manchin or Sinema, for example, they would vote with her because she has a lot of capital. What about all the Republicans and like the projection? Crystal ball, I think, says it's like 206 seats for Republicans, 205 for Democrats. If it is that close and they get the House, wouldn't they just say, well, we are Republicans, we're voting against her on every her proposal?
So Max, you're talking about a very unique thing, right? Because if you're going to win 60% of the popular vote, they're definitely not winning the House. Right, because we're talking about there's a lot of Republicans in California, there's a lot of Republicans in New York, there's a lot of Republicans in Florida, even Texas, right? Like so that's the big thing, right? And so a lot of those Republicans in California that barely squeak by because she won by such a big popular vote are more likely to be more in charge. But if she won, that's a part of the mandate, right? But Forrest, I saw you go on off mute. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I had something entirely different that wasn't related at all. I have actually been thoroughly enjoying learning this stuff because, like, when you talk about political capital, when you talk about this mandate and everything, this actually is stuff that I can now translate into terms that I understand in a lot of other ways. Things are clicking in my head that I'm enjoying thoroughly. So I'm here for the lecture.
Okay.
I'm here to learn a thing. Continue, please.
Professor Josie.
Do not let me interrupt. Yes.
Yeah. So Max, like, so does that make sense? Like, if somebody is going to win huge, like, popular vote, the chances of the Republicans actually also taking the House, despite all that, is fairly low. Right?
Right. I mean,
does that make sense?
I would. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was talking in the sense of, like I'm in Chicago, right? So
Yeah.
people in my congressional district, like it's gonna be a Democrat for sure, like 100%. Similar in, maybe DC if they vote in the House, and maybe like New York, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you gotta think about like voter turnout is like when we talk about voter turnout, right? Voter turnout is a metric that a lot of like politicos use. And when you see high voter turnout, that means that it's high across all metrics, right? It's very rare to have like one Democratic district have high voter turnout in a presidential election like this one, and then have the neighboring districts that are Republican also have low voter turnout. They're both going to have high voter turnout just for the sake of the numbers, right? Because everybody's getting information everywhere. It doesn't matter if you were in the rural America. Like my partner just today was walking Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, a very rural area. So the houses were so far apart, she only got to knock 20 doors in a day shift, right, as a volunteer. But they're still getting literature. They're still getting turned out, right? They're still being told to go and vote, which increases the likelihood of those votes. So when you look at it through, and I'm going real like political science right now, right? So when you are looking at the results of an election, right, and you're looking at, okay, all of these little precincts and all these little districts, you start seeing all the numbers in these areas, and this matters to the people who are running in those districts, right? So let's say there's a congressional person, right? You said you live in a Democratic district, right? If the Democrat, let me use your district as an example. So you say, yes, there's a Democrat, it's probably going to stay Democrat. But if your Democrat wins by 85%, because the Democrats just turned out that heavily, guess what's not going to happen next in 2 years? Going to have a Republican challenger that's probably going to beat them, right? It's just going to be impossible because no Republican worth their salt is going to be like, I'm not running against an incumbent that just won an election by 85%. On the other offhand, right, on the other side of the aisle, let's say a congressional representative that usually wins an election by 60% only wins it by 53, right? Now a Democrat in the Democratic Party can be like, oh my gosh, I only need to change the vote in that district by 3%. I can do that. And then money starts flowing into that district. Then now you have messaging that is going to be going to that rural area that's typically more Republican. But because somebody who voted in a district who's Democrat, who their vote maybe not have flipped that seat, now makes that seat seem more appealing for a future challenger in the next election cycle, right? So when you have these high voter turnouts and this high popularity happening, even in areas where it's like, this is a blue bastion, it protects the people who are already there, and it makes the people, the Republicans in other seats around them, a little nervous, right? Because that's a base right next to their district, and they're like, oh my gosh, people are going to move to these suburbs, people are going to move to these rural areas, and that's going to bring a lot of Democratic votes. I better get on my game and be a little bit more amenable to the county supervisor that just won next door, and I got to be real nice to them so they don't come after me in the next election cycle. Right. So that's why all of these votes matter so much. And that's why when we give, and this is mandates across the board, right? All the way down the ballot, right? When you're in Chicago, you're giving a mandate to the person that you're voting for. Just think about it like that. When you vote, even the vote is going to go your way, you are giving more political capital to that candidate. And it's multiplicative, right? The more votes that go that way, the higher the percentage goes up there in that election cycle, the more power you're giving to that representative, right? Because if you're in a city council district where your councilor won by 80% and the Republican only won by 51%, well, guess what? That Republican got real weak real quick. And now your representative is going to be able to bully them and push them around a little bit and say, no, you're voting for my stuff because I have a higher mandate to lead than you do.
Okay, thanks for the explanation. Yeah, it's very compelling.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I say vote. No matter what you think the outcome is going to be, you could be surprised, and you can literally change the political landscape of where you live in a couple years. I've done it. San Diego County. I'll say it right now. San Diego County in California used to be considered a conservative red area. Every representative except for one, every city council member, not every single city council member, most of them, the Republican mayor, Republican county supervisor, all of it's blue now because of the organizing that me and my colleagues did back in San Diego. It is a blue bastion now. There's only one Republican, Daryl Issa, in the East County of San Diego. There's only one Republican on the council, on the county supervisors. There's 0 Republicans on the city council, and there's a Democrat on as the mayor. We did that in 10 years. 10 years. We flipped that district, and now it's blue. And it's because people were turning out to vote. And we were organizing people and going out there and banging in districts. And me running in a Republican district back in 2016 made sure that the candidate who won next time was a freaking Democrat. Right? Because I made people aware that Democrats can win in that district. Did I lose? Yes. But did the person after me win? Yep. We flipped that district. We flipped it. Red to blue. So yeah, that's what it takes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Great. Thanks,
All
Max.
right. Well, thank you so much, Max. Take care. This has been a wildly educational show for me and everyone else. Yeah, I'm not big on like political vernacular, especially taxi things, and I have learned a ton just be sitting here and listening to you. So like, I'm very, very grateful for this. We've got 2 calls left. Yo, I appreciate it. We've got 2 calls left, and we're going to go first to Kendon, pronouns he, him, calling in from Orthogonal Rabbits, talking about little jumping things, jumping at 90-degree angles. I don't know. Who is an independent voter thinking about voting for the Green Party. Kendon, you are on the line with Josie and Forrest. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you guys?
Never had a bad day, man.
It's great. Love talking politics, as you can tell. So I'm in my happy place.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But as my topic says, I am an independent voter thinking about voting for the Green Party, mainly due to the fact that I really can't support Kamala Harris when she's still supporting Israel.
So we're back to where we started this whole show, and
yeah.
I will very quickly just ask you, we're just gonna forgive me. I'm just gonna cut to the main meat of the issue for me anyway. Is that even if you vote Green Party, even if a lot of people vote Green Party's not going to win. I think you and I can agree, Kendon, that the actual reality of the situation is that either Harris or Trump are going to win the election, right?
Yes, I completely agree with that. This is more of a personal thing where it's just like, I can't imagine myself voting for a person who supports that. It would be like being in Germany during World War II and supporting anyone that supported what happened.
Sure, I get it. I really, really do. I felt the same way about Biden, and I feel largely the same way now about Harris as well. Here's the question for you: is because you and I agree that either Trump or Harris is going to win, which one of those 2 people is going to be worse for Palestine?
Worse? I mean, how worse can it get?
Trump says
the complete eradication of Gaza.
Yeah, it can get quite a bit worse. Trump says that they should finish the job. Trump says that the issue, the stuff coming out, or the images coming out of Gaza are just bad PR. Trump uses the word Palestinian as a pejorative. Trump is fully 100% for just eradicating Palestinians in order to allow Israel to do whatever the hell they want to do and turn a blind eye to it, and won't even pretend to investigate things like the Biden administration has done. So I think you and I should be able to agree that between the 2, the absolute worst case scenario with Harris is more of the same. And the best case scenario with Trump is that things get worse.
Well, the difference between you and I is that I believe that the Democrats want to do exactly what Trump says. That the only difference between is that Trump is more honest, and that the Democrats have done nothing to rein in Israel and will do nothing to rein in Israel.
Except for the fact that... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I want to say this. Kendon, do you know that Harris didn't greet Netanyahu or boycotted his speech when he came to the House like a few months ago?
She still took a photo op with him.
But you know that she snubbed him though and didn't show up, right?
Snubbing him and taking a photo op, I don't see that as a difference. Like, sure,
so Kendon, I got something to say to you. As a world leader, right? As somebody on the national stage, having a chair and sitting on a stage between some flags, sitting next to each other, is a public sign of strength to show that there's still the ability for the two organizations to speak to each other. What Netanyahu saw is the fact that not going to his speech was a political snub. Not meeting him on the tarmac was a political snub. Trump criticized Harris for not showing up. Every Republican in the House criticized her for not showing up. So I don't understand what you mean.
What I mean is I want the Democrats to treat Netanyahu the way that our country treated Hitler, which is to say, no photo op.
We were not. We were very friendly with Hitler.
I was going to say we are. We are doing exactly that. We are pretending like we don't see what's happening unless Israel were to attack us first, and then we would do something about it and suddenly claim a moral high ground. We're treating Netanyahu quite a bit like we treated Hitler, but that's not the point. The point is what you're saying here is that Biden that Harris and Trump both support Israel and they're both supporting this genocide. I agree to an extent, but it's not fair at all to say that they're identical in this. Harris has already been swayed significantly towards our position on this. She has said that Palestinians deserve security and self-determination and dignity. She said that there needs to be a two-state solution. She has said that the humanitarian suffering in the region has gone way too far. She has said that there are way too many civilians that have been killed. She has called for a ceasefire. She has criticized what's going on, not in any way that I would like to see, but definitely a lot more than Biden has, and a whole hell of a lot more than Trump ever would. But even if we sit here and pretend that they're actually exactly the same and that there is no difference between them, which one of the two candidates is going to be better for LGBT people, for immigrants, for veterans, for women, for disabled people, for low-income people? Which of the two candidates is going to protect those people?
It would be Kamala. I will give you that win. The difference is, even as an LGBT person myself, the problem I have is that I would feel disgusted that my rights were bought on the complete eradication of an entire group of people.
You're not buying your rights, sir. You are protecting them. And like I said, the absolute worst case scenario with Harris is that we maintain the status quo, which I'm not saying is good or acceptable or justifiable in any way. I'm saying that when you allow Trump to win, the single issue vote that you're pulling here gets exponentially worse. And also things get exponentially worse for millions of Americans as well. People like yourself, and also women, and also veterans, and also immigrants, and also disabled people, and many, many, many more. So what you're doing here is you're saying this situation is so bad that I have no choice but to allow it to get way worse and also hurt lots of other marginalized communities, including my own. And I don't understand how you can be reasonable.
The reason why you don't understand is because of the fact that you don't believe that what is happening in Gaza is a line enough to make someone not vote for that president. In the fact that
that's not true at all, nor is it a fair accusation to levy against me.
Because what I truly believe is that what is happening in Israel is one of the most evil things that humanity can do as a species.
It is genocide, and you can very easily find lots of videos of me on this channel and others calling it a genocide, explaining exactly why it is a genocide, explaining exactly why I do not support it, why I fight so vitriolically against it. You can find lots and lots of videos of me saying it. And back when Biden was still running, you can find videos of me on this channel saying that I really fucking don't want to vote for Biden either, and that it's actually a toss-up. And that it is a significant enough issue. But now we have a candidate who is actually moving the needle in the right direction, and also is publicly actually trying to help a lot of other marginalized communities, while Trump is publicly explaining how he is going to either harm or eradicate marginalized communities. When I say eradicate, I mean trans people, which he has publicly stated on his website. He will make it the law in America that the only genders recognized by our country are male and female, and they are assigned at birth, meaning there are no more trans or intersex people. You want to talk about genocide? That is also comparable. So if you're going to sit here and say genocide is your hot button issue, I agree with you. It's a big issue for me too. It should be a big issue for anybody with a pulse. However, it is not reasonable to say, I am so anti-genocide, I'm going to make the genocide worse, and also institute other ones, and also strip the rights and liberties away from millions of other people, and also let more women bleed out in a parking lot in a hospital. That makes no sense. Saying that you have two options here, legitimately, you have two options here, should be enough for you to pick the one that is not, I'm not going to say better, but less horrific. That's a thing that you can do. And the other 3 years and 364 days you've got, you should be on the rooftop screaming with everything you have and banging on the windows and rattling the rafters and doing everything you can to change the fucked up system that we have, so we have more than two options, and to make sure that the president no longer funds and support genocide, and to make sure that our country is finally for fucking once on the right side of history from the get-go. There's a lot that we could be doing all the rest of the 4-year term, but on election day, you've got to participate in the trolley problem that we're all participating in. And that is exactly what it is. You can either continue the shitty, horrific path that we're on, or you can make it way, way, way fucking worse. You gotta pull the lever and stick on the horrific, shitty path you're on, where you still have the rights to try to make things better later, to try to ameliorate those situations.
Okay.
Choosing to not participate is choosing to make things worse.
Well, go ahead, Kendon, and then I want to say something.
Yeah. Go. Yeah. I do want to hear from you. But what I would say is that with all that being said, you're saying, oh yeah, it's horrible. We need to protect all these people's rights and everything, and it's just like, okay. But the Democrats are currently in power. They would remain in power if Kamala gets in, and they've done nothing to protect all these rights that you're claiming. Everything that's happening in Texas, Florida, and everything else, that's happening under a Democrat administration.
Under Republican state houses.
Yes. How do you expect Joe Biden
which would remain Republican under Kamala?
Right.
Yeah, but we might get all
But also under Trump would then have federal backing. They are doing those things in spite of the federal government, not by warrant of the federal government. If they had the federal government's backing, things would be significantly worse, especially considering the things that Trump has been talking about, especially over the past couple of months. So the protections that are already there, and the protections that have been fought for, and the rights that have been won by the Biden administration should not be downplayed or overlooked just because some evil Republicans did some evil shit. I agree those things are evil, but we live in a federalist society where we have this differential of powers, and so that shit's going to happen with Republican governors. It's going to be worse when you have a Republican president who's talking about rounding up people that are disloyal to him using the military, who's talking about using lethal force at the border, who's talking about building a wall and all this other horse shit. You're talking about Greg Abbott's fucking death barrels with razor blades and shit in the middle of the water. think about what's going to happen when you have a fucking sociopath like Trump in office saying, yeah, no, absolutely. Why aren't we shooting out the kneecaps of these fucking immigrants too?
And I agree. It is irresponsible to put these people in power, which is why it's weird that Kamala Harris is stumping with them.
So Kendon,
yeah.
So I want to jump in real quick because I want to make sure, like, there's a couple scenarios I want to run, and also, like, I'm just going to say this real quick because I work in trans advocacy. Title IX protection to ACA to ensure healthcare for trans people, ensuring that there's money and research to make sure that we count people during this our surveys that we do nationally, making sure that there were statements that were made that protect and codify and protect trans people's rights to exist. There's also trans day visibility. I know it's still there. So there's like a lot of different things, but anyways, and there's also a lot of laws, and we also have the deputy cabinet member of the Health and Human Services is literally a trans woman, Admiral Rachel Levine. So there's a lot of material change that has happened at the federal level for trans people. So I didn't want to let that pass, but I want to get to this point really quick.
Oh.
So Kendon, do you so I want to run this scenario with you. I have a couple questions, and then I want you to ask a series of thought experiments with me, okay? Because this isn't we're not going to win on the moral question that the fact that you believe that a genocide is happening, you will not vote for that. And I also believe there's a genocide. There's also a lot of me on the record talking about this as well in very horrific ways of how horrible this is actually on our planet. And this is the first live stream genocide that we've seen in our in the world history from, there was genocides that always happened across the world. And usually presidents don't talk about it till the ashes are cooling off, right? Like we know that. And there's like, it's an unprecedented point in our history. So I just want to say that morally, we agree there shouldn't be a fucking genocide, and and Israel needs to be held accountable for what they have done. I will say that, and I will continue to say that. Okay, so I want to say that for just the common ground, so we can get to these political questions that I have, because this is a political question to a moral issue. Okay, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to zoom back out to the political question. Sorry for the long intro there, but I just wanted to say that. So do you agree that there's a lot of people who are voting, who are the anti-genocide voters, who say they will not vote for Harris or they will vote for Jill Stein? Do you agree that a lot of those folks, no matter what Harris does, will not vote for her?
I can't read their minds, but I can say I'll just go with, just make this easy. Sure.
Yeah, right. Because I know a lot of folks who are like, it doesn't matter. There was a caller earlier that said, doesn't matter what she says, I'm not going to believe her and I'm not going to vote for her no matter what. Right. There's a lot of that happens. And there's a lot of that conversation that has happened across the spectrum across the country. So I wanted to start there. Right. So that exists. Okay. So we are running, and I'm going to ask you another question. Do you agree that this is going to be one of the closest presidential elections in American history?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So now we're going to zoom out just a teeny bit, and I'm going to put you in the position that Harris is in right now. Right now, this is a hypothetical, but I want you to think about where she sits, because I know the conversations that I've had with her campaign internal staffers and different things that I've been able to communicate with different folks. So you are running for president in the closest American election for president in American history, right? You are now in this position, and you have numbers in front of you that says, if we say these things about, and I'm going to use this very just like bluntly political messaging campaign numbers, okay? If I say these things, let's say I wanted to say an arms embargo, we're going to call for the arrest of Netanyahu, we're going to do all of the things that the Palestinian protest anti-genocide voters are saying, and we're going to lose 100,000 votes in these key areas that have very strong numbers that we need to make sure we solidify the win of this vote, right? You have that. It's just facts. It's just information, right? You just have it in front of you. And then on the other side, you have the other thing of saying, if I do say these things, the folks that said that they would vote for me if I say these things are wishy-washy and aren't actually going to vote for me, and I can't trust them to actually come out and deliver me states like Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, because generally across the country, less than 5% of America generally cares enough to make foreign policy their number one issue to vote, right? So you're cut with the information that you have. You know that if you say the thing that will make you lose the votes, that will definitely make you lose the election, or you stay true to your messaging, say the things that Forrest is saying, such as I want a ceasefire, Palestinians need dignity and respect, they shouldn't be killed, this is horrific, this is atrocious, but you're going to be able to lock in the votes that you have right now to possibly win the closest election in American history. And then once you win, you can start having the conversations and the tough conversations that you have right away because you just won the hardest election in American history. It's you, President nominee Kendon. What do you do if you are faced with that information that you will definitely lose the election if you stand where you stand in this phone call, or hold it to win the election and then go the way that you're trying to say? What do you do?
This is, well, to answer honestly, this is why I could never be a politician, because I don't have that in me to sell out my soul. And I have a revolutionary type of soul, which is to say I would rather burn everything down and start again than give up my soul. I would say,
okay, great.
I would barnstorm.
Immensely privileged thing to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's okay. No, don't worry about it. Kendon, go continue your statement, and then I'm going to respond.
Yeah, I would barnstorm exactly what I'm saying. I would call for the arrest of Netanyahu. I would do everything that I would do, all of that, and I would lose definitely, but I would keep my soul.
Okay, great. All right, perfect. All right. So you said it in the first sentence that you said. You don't have it in you to be a politician because you have to make these incredibly hard decisions. I'm a skeptic. I don't use the word soul, but a lot of people would be able to say my moral compass and things like that, right? So for me, it's right. But I
apologize for saying soul.
You don't have to apologize.
I'm an atheist too. I just use it because it's the easiest catch-all, like getting at what I mean.
So meaning your moral compass, who you stand for, and you couldn't look at yourself in the mirror because of because of the moral, standings that you have. Great. Okay. So I want you to take a think about that for a second, right? The position that Kamala Harris sits, right, as running the largest country economically, our largest military in the world, the leader, and they say leader of the free world because there's a lot of countries that follow our lead when we do these things. The amount of work that it takes to be able to be in her position right now deserves a monicum of respect, because she has to make decisions like piss off a lot of people like you, Kendon, piss off a lot of people like even me and Forrest on this call. She has to make that political calculation, so therefore she can win an election to hold back an authoritarian leader who literally wants to make beachfront property out of Gaza. That's what his son said jokingly, right? Don Jr., right? Mm-hmm. She has to hold that in her soul, knowing the atrocities that are happening in Gaza, because she's a human. She knows that children are dying. She knows what's happening. She gets briefs, Kendon, that would probably make you vomit in the type of things that she's probably hearing in her briefings when it comes to security briefings and what is going on, because of the moral fortitude that it takes to be able to hold that back so you can keep stability in the world to win an election, so a man like Donald Trump doesn't win, deserves a monicum of respect. So for me, it's like you have to think about it that way, Kendon, because burn it all down isn't the type of president that I want. I want a president that's going to make sure I get my hormones on time. I want a president that's going to make sure that my family isn't mass deported. I want a president that makes sure that reproductive access is available for my family. I want to make sure that I have a president that is at least trying to serve me and the most marginalized in this country. I don't need a burn it all down type of president, Kendon. That's why I am voting for Harris, regardless of how horrible I feel about Gaza. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And when I say burn it all down, I'm more talking about like
Trump is a burn it all down. Trump is a burn it all down.
About, like, okay. When if I may clarify, I'm talking about like having the gall, like Lincoln and I forget his name, the one who did the New Deal. Those type of presidents.
FDR?
In the time of
FDR used the system. FDR did not burn it all down. FDR had a public mandate that was so strong that ended up having policies be passed.
But FDR would not line himself up with the Cheneys and the Bushes and still say that I'm
FDR was around during Japanese internment. What are you talking about?
Okay. Because that's mainly my thing is that like I'm seeing the Democrats talking out both sides, that they're saying that Donald Trump is this like amazing evil that needs to be blocked, but then I see them lining up with the Cheneys and the Bushes, and even get some Reagan
Kendon,
people in there.
We're talking about political calculation, right? I remember I said there's a moral reason. It's a difference between what we are, because you agreed with me. You agreed with me that this is going to be the closest presidential election in American history.
Yes, but what I'm getting at is that the thing is, because of what she's accepted and who she's campaigning with on the stage and all that, the difference is that I can now see a future Democrat Party that lines up with the Trumps, because they need to find someone even more evil than Trump.
MAGA is the new Republican Party. Yes. Do we have more Cheneys and Romneys and all of that type of stuff? Yes, that is true. That has happened because the Republicans have gotten so radicalized that we have people like Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney saying, you know what? I'll have what the Democrats are having. You know how hard it is for them to make that political calculation? Do you realize how hated a lot of those Republicans are because they said we're going to go with the Democrats? Because they're making a political calculation too. Now, let me give you some hope here about this, Kaden, because I very radical. I supported Bernie. I was part of Occupy. I went through all of that. Like I marched on the streets. I led the first Bernie rally in San Diego with 3,000 plus people. Like, yes, I have been in that position before, but I'm going to give you some hope here. Okay. Do you think that the Democratic Party as a whole, the leftist people like the AOCs, the Rashida Tlaibs, like the all of these incredibly Ayanna Pressley, like all of these incredible humans that are in Congress right now are happy that we have to cozy up to the Cheneys and the Liz Cheneys? Do you think that is good? Do you think like they feel as Democrats a little icky too? Do you think that might be the case?
Yes, but when it comes to AOC and the others, and the other, if I may, was real quick, other Justice Democrats were literally created to be the Democrat version of the Tea Party, and that the creators of the Justice Democrats
I know all about it, Kendon. I ran in 2020 for Congress. I know about their corruption. I know all about it. I'm talking about because you're talking about the moral compasses of those folks that came in on progressive values and used those type of things. What I'm trying to say is, if the Democratic Party continues to go bigger, and once we start seeing the Bushes go into the Democratic Party and all of that type of stuff, the Democratic Party will reach a critical mass where it will literally fissure, right? Where there will be a split ideologically within the Democratic Party to create two new different types of parties versus the MAGA Republicans. The MAGA Republicans have done a really good job kicking Republicans out of the party. We talked to a caller today, just earlier today, about how the Republican Party left them, right? Like, that is the reality that a lot of Republicans are facing because they don't recognize their party anymore. The radical extreme MAGA Republicans have taken over their house, and now the Republicans that were like the Cheney Republicans, the Reagan Republicans, they're now politically homeless. So now they're going to the Democrats. And now the Democrats in the future, and this maybe 10, 15 years from now, this is a Josie prediction. I do believe that the Democratic Party is probably going to split, and then we'll have a third party system in this country. But that's the benefit of bringing in all of these Republicans into our tent, because we have better ideas. We care about governance, and governance should be a governing principle across the entire country.
And if I may, real quick, just because you're trying to give me some hopium, I'm an independent voter because of the fact that I recently did that. I recently marked myself as I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
That I recently did that because of the fact that I view myself as too far left for the current Democrats, and that you're saying that, they're going to split off and there's going to be all these things. What I'm saying is, I would love to live in a world where the Democrat Party is in control by the leftists, by the socialists, by the communists.
Look, I am an American socialist, okay? I care about Social Security, Medicaid, I care about veteran rights, I care about all of these things. But you know what, Kendon? Like, what you're doing, going independent and just wish casting for a leftist Democratic Party, you are literally removing your membership to make that dream possible, right? It's like saying, let's say I'm going to use sports balls analogy, but I'm going to use it. So you're like, there's the NFL, right? And there's professional teams that are in the club, like, let's say, and then what a person that leaves that party system is like, I'm leaving the NFL. I'm going to play my own football game with my own rules, and then I'm going to try to come in back to the NFL and saying, hey, why can't I play in the playoffs? That's essentially what you're doing, right? When you leave the party system in America, you are leaving the coaches, the field, you're leaving the equipment, you're leaving the skill, you're leaving the players, you're leaving it all for wish casting. Be a part of the system, Kendon. You know that I started, when I started as somebody who was in, because I'm radical. I am. My middle name is Rose for a reason, because I'm a socialist in my heart, right? But I have worked through the ranks of the Democratic Party where I get to speak on major platforms at the DNC convention, maybe not on the stage, not yet, but I was able to speak and lead in those type of rooms. I've been a founding member of the Trans Advisory Committee for the DNC. I'm able to be in the inner groups and conversations with the Harris campaign when we talk about Out for Harris, making over 2 million phone calls over the last few weeks. Like, I'm actually a part of the system, and there is talks right now that I might be a DNC member, right? And actually be a part of that. Do you think if I would have said, you know what, screw it, I don't like the way the Democratic Party is right now, and I left, do you think I would be able to have as much political influence than I have now? Like you're asking so much, Kendon, when you are sitting here saying, I'm going to leave the party to prove a what? That you're not going to be a part of the game anymore?
Well, because from the outside looking in, it looks pretty disgusting when it's just like, okay, as a person who lived through the Bush administration, to see the Democrats,
I served under the Bush administration in the military, Kendon, during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Do you realize what that was like to serve under the Bush administration for?
Right, and now the Democrats are cozying up to them and saying that they're the greatest, and we need to thank Cheney for his service.
Oh my God, who's saying that they're the greatest?
And Kendon, did you not hear anything that I said about the work that I am doing within the party system? So do you think that what I'm doing is just a waste of time?
Well, like, how can we go from the Democrats
just answer her question, Kendon? Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Josie, you have so much patience, and usually people say that to me. Usually when we're on a creationist call or something like that, they're like, "Wow, Forrest is really patient and calm with the caller." Like, I feel like I've flipped fucking the chair here. Like I'm on a different area. I'm a completely different. This is what Matt Dillahunty feels like all the time. Is watching me be all sweet with somebody, and you're like, I just want to fucking like flip my desk over, dude. Like, quit dodging questions, quit moving goalposts, quit changing the topic whenever you don't get your way. Josie has actually done the work, both in and out of the system, has actually put in time and effort to make real political change. I'm not a politics guy, but even I have raised tens of thousands of dollars to save lives in Gaza. And so you're going to sit here and seriously tell us that we're serving you hopium because we're talking about actually working towards a possible future, while your actual plan is to vote your conscience and just throw your vote away and allow the fascist cult leader to destroy this country and the country that you say are claiming is your moral high ground here, and say, no, I'm just going to burn it all down. I'm going to let millions of people be harmed. I'm going to let a genocide get much, much worse. I'm going to allow millions of people here in America lose their rights, lose their dignity. I'm going to allow the fascist dictatorship that I'm so scared of, because eventually, someday, maybe we'll get a government that kind of sounds like something I like, and everybody else is collateral damage. Fuck it, Kendon gets his way. And that's the actual plan you're calling in with here. Like, seriously, tell me how the fuck letting Donald Trump win helps Palestine. Tell me how the fuck letting Donald Trump win improves the Democratic Party and stops us from cozying up to all these people you don't like. Tell me how letting Donald Trump win ameliorates the situation in the American political landscape in such a way that we can actually have a more than two-party system, and we can actually have ranked choice voting, and we can actually have socialist policies, and we can actually have things that benefit the lower and middle classes as well as marginalized people in this country. All the things that you and I and Josie all agree with and all want to have in the future. Tell me exactly how 4 more years of Donald Trump is the path to get there, and you not even having the fucking balls to just vote for the asshole are just going to sit here and say, I'm just going to sit here and let him win, because if I don't pull the wet leather for him, then I guess I'm not responsible. All I have to do is not stop him, and then I'm just free from the responsibility. Grow a fucking spine, dude. Stand up for the country that you believe in and try to make a real difference. Even if you don't like it, try to make it better. Like, how is that fucking hard? And you're going to sit here for fucking 34 minutes and talk to people who actually give a shit. People like Josie, who has been spending this entire fucking show giving a master fucking graduate level class on political science, teaching us all really important, serious shit about how this government works and how political science works and how the political landscape works. And you're going to tell her that you know better than her, and all you have to do is just let MAGA win some more and then it'll be better. Fuck all the way off. It is absolutely insane to me that you can be this far up your own ass and sit here and waste 35 minutes of our time when you're talking about, like, fucking just all we have to do is just not participate, not play the game, and then the game will get better. No, it fucking won't. Tell me one time when it ever has, not just in American history, but in any point in history, when good people do nothing, bad people get away with shit. That's what we're seeing in fucking Palestine, which is the point of what you're calling in for in the first place. Jesus, a fucking Christland, dude. Grow up. Oh my glob, dude. I'm sitting here listening to you for fucking 35 minutes, be a condescending prick to her when she is teaching you everything you need to know about this. And it is so fucking gross. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking tired and I'm so fucking sick of it. And it's so ridiculous that you're going to sit here on some fucking moral high ground. Like you have something over on us and we're just feeding you fucking copium. Oh my God, fucking copium or hopium or whatever the fuck. Because we're telling you that there has to be a way forward. Jesus. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Josie.
No apologies. Kendon, go ahead.
So fucking gross, dude.
Let's put a button on this because, yes, yeah, thank you.
For sure.
Yeah, we're done, Kendon. We're gonna move on. Goodbye. Good gravy, dude. Oh, I hate fucking yelling and getting all upset. I really don't like doing it. But like, oh my fuck.
Well, I've done it before.
36 minutes. Yeah, it's just especially on this. Especially on this, because I've been so fucking vocally like advocating for Palestine for so long.
Oh,
and not just for them. There's so many there's different genocides and humanitarian crises going on in the world, and it takes people who are willing to make hard choices and are willing to put in the actual work and willing to communicate and try to actually make things better, to allow those situations to become less shit than what they are. You can't make them good, but you can make them less horrific. And you got people like Kendon here who are just like, I'm just going to fucking let it get worse, because then at least I didn't touch it. And I'm like, dude, you cannot claim a moral high ground in that situation. You can't. You can't be like, oh, I'm this single voter person. I'm going to make sure that I'm not participating in the genocide. I'm just going to watch it. Are you serious? Like, don't be so fucking for real. Ugh.
Yeah, and it's just so frustrating because like we tried the moral angle first, right? Which was it's going to get worse. Then we tried the conversation of like, let's zoom out and make it a political calculation, right? And then once the burn it all down didn't sound so good coming, is like, oh wait, I'm not actually for that. And it's just like, come on, like, and that's what it is. It's like people don't respect the position that these politicians put themselves in, because people like Kendon will just completely just keep stabbing them over and over and over and just be like, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck. And it's like, I'm just trying to govern. I'm just trying to make sure that people can get their medication on time. Like, I want to make sure that the trains don't burn up. Like, can you not make it seem like I'm the most evil human? That's why I don't use the worst of two evils comment. I say, who will serve you better? That's what I say. Like, just pick the person that's going to serve you better, right? That's it. You don't have to make it two evils. Like, you don't have to make it between a demon and a demon. It's these. Trump might be a demon, but the thing about it is, if I believed in it, but if the reality is, it's about picking somebody who's going to serve you better. Should be your choice. The person that you're going to be able to argue with and maybe make them make a change, a person that's going to allow you to protest and not ask if they can shoot your fucking legs with bullets. Like, maybe that's the person that you'd rather organize under. Maybe that's the condition that you want to organize under, to have this moral righteousness of like, at least I didn't vote for the genocide because now I am now morally clean. Nobody's going to make a fucking statue for you because you decided to not vote, and Harris fucking lost, and then Trump goes in and runs a dictatorship in the United States that we have to deal with for the next 40 years. Nobody's going to make a fucking statue for you. Maybe Netanyahu will, but nobody else in this country will.
Thank you so much for watching me do whatever I want to do so that you can claim you didn't participate. That is absolutely the only thing that is required to allow people like that to get away with whatever the fuck they want. And like, you have all these fucking people who are cosplaying revolutionary. All we have to do is just let America collapse, and then I'll get it my way eventually. And they don't comprehend just how fucking awful a situation like that actually is. And like, yes, I agree the system sucks. You can very easily find hours of content about me here on this channel and others talking about how much I fucking hate the system of this country and just this country in general, how much I seriously don't like this place and most of the things that it does. But at the end of the day, it's a fuck of a lot better than just letting it all fall to shit and letting like just the people in power, the cishet white men, do whatever the fuck they want. It's just not appropriate. It's like, and it's like this fantasy of privilege. Sorry, go ahead.
It's so frustrating. It's like seeing a house on fire, right? And having a water hose next to you and being like, maybe I should help with the fucking fire. And you're like, you know what? Fuck it. The people who set the fire, they can fucking deal with it, as there's people screaming and dying in the fucking house that had nothing to do with it.
There's a water crisis also in Flint, Michigan. So for me to waste this water is really just hurting them. And I need to be, I care about the people of Michigan. That's what I care about. My glob, dude.
it's just like fucking do
and
something.
Also, I'm electing a fascist
something.
at the same time.
Yeah, it's like, no, I don't want to do anything because doing something would mean that the water is being used, and I just, that person deserved it to burn alive in the building. It's like, what? Like, who would do that? Like, it's just like,
seriously.
Yeah, it's just this is what's happening to our democracy right now.
What's frustrating is like the I said at the beginning, when we're trying to tell people to call in and everything like that, I mentioned that, like, usually we take in callers from creationists or evolution deniers or theists or whatever else. I'm like, we're now turning the attention to our own community, because there's a lot of people in our community who are talking about abstaining, voting third party, whatever like that. So we are now turning this fire to our own people, and like,
yes, all the fire.
This yeah. In this case, it really, like, one of the things that we talk about when we argue about God. One of the things that we try to get through to people, because people are like, oh, there's free will and there's all this stuff. It will say, like, okay, if you saw someone being murdered or assaulted or mugged or something, like if you saw something evil happening and you don't try to fix it, are you a bad person? And that's like the argument. Okay, well, God isn't stopping it. God's letting it happen and then dealing with the consequences later, and that makes God bad. And so many people who watch this channel are like, yeah, fuck religion. That's a good, And then those same people are going to say, yeah, there's a genocide going on. I guess I just got to let it get worse, because, like, fuck, man, they're doing their thing, and I'm not going to participate in. I'm not going to vote for the person who's affiliated with it, who could potentially save it and stop it. I'm just going to let it get fucking worse. I'm just going to watch and to see what happens. And maybe in 8 to 12 to 20 to 50 years, maybe I'll be able to say that I was a part of some bullshit fucking revolution that changed America. And now we have 3 candidates instead of 2. Oh, neat. Like, it's just not fucking worth it. It's such a small reward at such a long distance of time for such a fucking heavy cost. And then you're going to sit here and talk about, I have to preserve my soul. This is why I can never be a politician. You can never be a politician because you don't have a fucking backbone, not because you want to preserve your soul, because you don't want to make a difficult choice when the chips are down. You don't want to fucking engage with the trolley problem. So your idea is just to pretend like it's not there. Like,
that's absolutely
so
right. That's absolutely right. And that's why, for me, I'm like, I have good politicians that are able to hold the line, even when like you said, when the chips are down and people are going to fucking hate you, because in this country, everybody's going to hate you for fucking something. You got to fucking do it. You got to fucking do it. And one of the things that I know is that Harris is thinking about it, while Trump is like, how is this going to make me better? He's not thinking. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody who thinks about it or how much they hate him. He loves to hate. But I know that Harris is up there and just like, oh my God, I don't want to be hated. I just want to govern. I just want to fucking govern. Just like, like a doctor wants to provide medicine, just like a lawyer wants to do law, a politician should just want to govern. And governing is sloppy and it's annoying and it's messy. And people try to moralize everything when you're just trying to do a fucking job for people. It's service. Just pick the person who'll better serve you. That's who your politician should always be.
Or better, allow for you to live in a society where service is possible. By the way, so the fucking person in chat saying, why do we say genocide? What defines a genocide? Call in tomorrow. I'm on all fucking day tomorrow, and we'll talk about it. Or I can tell you right now, you can very easily go look up the definition of genocide from the UN Genocide Convention. It is actions taken with the intention of destroying a racial, political, ethnic, national, or religious group, either in whole or in part. And there are 5 actions that you can do with the intention of destroying this group, either in whole or in part. Those actions are destroying members of the killing members of the group, inflicting serious bodily or mental harm on members of the group, stopping births with taking measures to prevent births within members of the group, inflicting conditions of life meant to bring about the physical destruction of the group, either in whole or in part, or forcibly transferring children from the group into another group. Those are the 5 things that any one of them or multiple of them done with the intention of destroying a group, either in whole or in part. That is the definition of genocide. Israel is doing at least definitely 3, arguably all 5 of those things to the people of Palestine. Now, that is different and distinct from ethnic cleansing, which is his own special thing. Guess what is also going on, especially in Gaza and now in the West Bank, or especially, I would say, for a long time in the West Bank, now especially in Gaza over the past year. The forced removal of an ethnic group that's in order for them to now repopulate this area, and like that is what is happening there. So ethnic cleansing is occurring, genocide is occurring. You can look up the definitions yourself, but since you want to comment about it here, that's the definition. If you want me to defend any of that and explain to you why exactly those things are happening, what evidence those things are happening, and the strong evidence that we have for intent from the Israeli government, I would be more than happy to explain it to you. Call me tomorrow.
Right.
Let's make this next call. I think it's going to be fast anyway. But let's make it lickety-split.
I saved this person for last, and they've been on hold for 2 goddamn hours. But I saved them for last on purpose. We got, I think it's called B, I'm guessing. Pronoun she, they. Calling in to ask how she can get more involved in the Harris campaign. Calling all the way from litigated alligators, cool-ass crocodilians with JDs.
I had down
you're on the line with Josie
anesthetic as mine.
That's really good too.
I had put down. Thank you.
Yeah.
So a couple of things right quick. First of all, Forrest, that was spectacular. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun listening to that. That was awesome.
Don't say anything
Josie,
to me. Josie's been fucking rocking this show. She has been teaching everybody everything for a long time, and it has been a phenomenal show listening to her.
I'm getting to Josie. Josie, I love y'all so much on TACIS. You and Arden Hart have made me feel so much more validated as a trans woman. Y'all are awesome. Anyways, I would like to get more involved in the Harris election, and I tried a couple of times to join a phone. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I tried to join a phone banking session, and what was that?
I said, be more nervous. I'm just fucking with you. Continue.
No.
Okay, I'll just go. I'll throw up in the corner. So I tried. I did try joining a phone bank. I signed up. I got ready for Zoom, and I think it sent me and a lot of other people in the email group were having issues with it. And then I tried checking for local events. The only thing I have left to do is donate, which I am going to donate a little bit. I don't have too much, but I really want to find out if there's anything else that I can do in my area. Not in a swing state, obviously, and I was just wondering what can I do? What resources are available for me?
Yes. I am actually putting in the chat right now a Trans Folks for Harris phone bank that I am actually leading on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, where you can actually call with a bunch of... Yes, this Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I actually lead the training for those phone banks. So I do those every Tuesday, and I'm going to be leading many, many more. There is a great website called Mobilize that you can then go to, and you can go to events.democrats.org. I'm also putting that in the chat as well. And that is your one-stop shop for all events that are run by the Harris campaign. Sometimes there's even buses going from where you are to other swing states. I know they have buses that leave every weekend from like DC to Pennsylvania, for example. And there are many, many organizations that are linked up with this Mobilize website. So events.democrats.org, and you will be able to see and find things that are local to you, as well as there's even, I'm looking here, like poll greeters, things like that. Even if you want to do things, it is a very long and extensive resource.
Right. And I wish there was door knocking available in my state, because I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and I would love to put that skill to some use for the first time in 2 years.
Darn, I loved hiring XJWs, man. They are the best knockers. I would pay you like $27 an hour.
My knuckle has seen a lot of shit, and it can punch through some wood probably. But basically, so that sounds great. I'm actually off on Tuesday. I would love to join.
Yay!
So
good.
I tried to the link that I got for Harris's from the email linked me to I believe it sent me a link with the word mobilize in it, but it kept sending me to this website called Fanbase. Does that ring any sort of bells for you?
Did you say what base?
Fanbase.
I think that may have been the wrong link. Where did you get that link? What email? From what site? From what organization did you get that email?
Let me open up my email right quick. It was from what I deemed to be a Kamala Harris website, right? Like I looked up phone banking for Harris Walls, and I found something in my area. The Democratic, hold up, I'm getting there. Democratic National Committee via Mobilize. Email.replies@mobilize.us. And it sent me to a link where I clicked on, so, dang, this is a long ass email. I did find the link and I clicked on everything that I'm pretty sure I was supposed to. And a lot of other people in my thing were saying it sent us to the wrong place.
Yeah, so sounds like it. Yeah, so events.democrats.org is the thing, and it does take you to Mobilize sites, but they should all work. So that's how we use it. Let me write this down right quick. Yeah, and if you events.democrats.org, and in the search you can actually put trans folks for Harris, and then the event that I'm leading actually pops up.
Events.democrats.org, type in search trans folks, because I did see that and I saw that you were hosting it and I was so disappointed that I missed it.
Yeah, we do it every Tuesday, so you'll see me next Tuesday.
Okay. Yep. And after this, I'll be. Is the process to join straightforward enough so that I probably won't download something I shouldn't, I guess?
Yep. All you do is you just select the event that you want to go to, which will be this Tuesday. You click it, and then you say attend. And then you put in your information, and then you'll get an email, and you'll also get text reminders as well as the event shows up. We're also going to be doing, for Advocates for Trans Equality, we're doing a virtual rally for Harris as well, which I will be the host of.
I have a couple of other questions, or one quick question. So my knowledge on international affairs is extremely lacking, specifically because of my past. I've learned an exceptional amount in the 2 years that I've been an Extra Jehovah's Witness, but I still have a lot left to learn, and I'm scared that I don't know enough about the Israel and Gaza situation for me to answer voters' questions properly. Do you have any advice on what I could do in that situation?
Yeah, I usually say, what would you say?
I was saying, go to guides.vote. Guides.vote is a website that I encourage everybody who wants to be a little bit more informed to go to. It just gives an easy side-by-side comparison of like a bunch of candidates from a bunch of races, and you can pick an issue, and it shows you quotes of what they said with links to take you to where those quotes are from, and it's a very simple, like, one-paragraph breakdown of what their overall stance is. So, like, the things that I've talked about Harris talking about in Palestine, most of that is on there, I'm pretty sure. And that way you'll actually have easy things for that and other things that you can easily cite sources to as well and talk about like where she stands on that. If you're interested in just like the situation in general, that's a whole other conversation that we can have.
You said guides.vote, GUIDES.vote?
Yep, that's the one. Guides.vote.
Okay,
use that, and I also say you sometimes you have to vote for the conditions for which you organize. Who would you rather protest to, Trump or Harris?
You said who would I rather protest to? What? I'm sorry. Can you ask the question again?
Who? So sometimes we have to vote for the conditions for which we organize. Who would you rather protest, Trump or Harris?
Oh, Harris, 100%.
Yeah,
if I'm understanding the question correctly.
Yeah, that's right. But that's a question you can ask somebody that's really fast and quippy and quick. And sometimes people where you've heard a lot of these calls on here, some people are just a no, they're not going to do it. But I'm going to tell you right now, Bay, right? I think that's how you say your name.
B. No, it's a B. Forrest had it right.
B. thank you. So B, I will tell you right now, most people that you're going to be going to these events, making phone calls to, not one person that I have talked to in these phone banks, and I've already had about 7 or 8 phone banks with dozens of trans people on these calls, making phone calls, have said that they're not voting because of Palestine. It's a very niche, niche thing. Huh?
Okay. I was saying, with how often that comes up on this show, I was under the impression it was a very common talking point.
We're online.
Wish it was.
We're on the internet. And a lot of people on the internet, so people on the internet will more likely go into that issue than the people that you're actually calling that you need a vote, that are just sitting at their homes, making dinner, coming home from work. All those people, most people don't live online. So most people are worrying about making sure their kids are going to get fed, making sure that their taxes are going to go down. Most people care about reproductive access. Most people care about the economy. Those are the things that people actually care about. When they do studies and test and they see what voters actually vote on, the Gaza issue is less than 5%, sometimes even 1%, given the different survey. Wow. So people just don't vote on foreign policy. That's just very uncommon for it to happen. And that's why the Harris campaign is making a political calculation, right? So that's unfortunate, but that's kind of how it goes. But I've already had contact with thousands of voters across this country, and it very rarely comes up. The only time it ever comes up is Twitter, Facebook, other places like that. But most of the time, it doesn't really come up on the average voter making the decision if they're going to make rent or not.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's helpful.
And it's a reason why you should do the phone banking. That's the reason you should do canvassing. I say that to everybody. Go and canvass, go and knock on doors and figure out what your neighbors actually care about, because everybody's bubble is so small. If you actually go out and talk to people outside of that bubble, you'll be surprised that people really don't care what you think. They all care about other things. They care about the street lights. They care about the roads.
We're also in like I said, I used to go out preaching all the time. We're in Louisiana, or a local anesthetic. We're here in very fertile territory where people are very, very willing to listen, and they will sit down. I live in a rural area of a southern state, so people are very willing to open their door oftentimes and listen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you got to do it. And in LA, in Louisiana, there was a trans woman that almost won the state house by 700 votes. So yeah. And so that it's Pearl Davis. I think it was Pearl. I think Pearl did well. And maybe it's somebody else, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Pearl Davis. They were very, very, very close in winning. So like LA, there's also a trans woman that's on the Democratic Central Committee down there. She's a dear friend of mine. She's working down there. So like trans people are everywhere, and they're representing everywhere. So like, when you actually get more involved in local politics, you're going to be able to find possible trans candidates actually running that you can actually support.
Where do I go? Because my knowledge on local politics is next to none. I'm still very new to everything. Where can I learn?
Your Democratic Central Committee. Start with your Democratic Central Committee. And also you can always go to a progressive Democratic club as well. Those are other places. You can go to a women's club in your area as well, women's Democratic club, sorry. There's a lot of clubs that exist that are Democratic, that are connected to all the folks, right? You get connected to one Democratic club or the central committees, you will get connected to every single elected candidate in your area that's local, because they all want your endorsement. So it doesn't take very long to be able to get really connected very quickly to your local stuff. So find a local Democratic club that speaks to you, possibly even a Stonewall Democratic Club. A lot of those clubs exist as well. And candidates go seeking those endorsements, and you'll meet them very quickly as there's different receptions, and you'll find the old Democratic person as sees a young person walk in the door, and they're like, "Oh my God, volunteer, help us, help us." That's how it usually happens. Like a second somebody new walks through that door, they're like, "Oh my God, it's a person that's actually interested in politics," and they will shower you with information and give you a job immediately. Not like a paid job, but some type of volunteer activity that will get you connected very fast. It happens faster than you think.
I would
just find the local.
I've actually considered getting some sort of job in this field. I will say I've only been listening to the line for not very long now. My first video was Jimmy's call me and tell me why you're voting for Trump, and I was like, oh shit, this is great. Is there more of this? I saw he was doing another one, and I looked at the channel. And I was like, damn, there's so much here. I absolutely love it. I love TACIS.
The Transatlantic Call-In show.
Y'all's shows have helped me. I find that I can stand up for myself, and I'm not, I'm still new, so I'm not like debating people left and right, but I can stand up for myself and claim, say what I need to, and make my thoughts come across so much more clearly than I could before. And I might not have ever even considered getting involved in this sort of thing if it wasn't for this show. But now that I am, I'm like, I want to go ahead.
Yeah, if you're really interested in getting into politics professionally, go to transequality.org and sign up for interest on our candidate training program. It's candidate training and candidate manager. I got started in campaigns that way and in campaign management, not through this organization. I developed this training. But as far as like getting involved in politics, it was like very simple canvas jobs, knocking on doors, and then I got experience and boom, I was there. So please sign up for the candidate management training program interest form and find me. I will find you once you sign up.
You said transequality.org?
Yep. And then if you sign up for that interest form, I will reach out to you in an email and we can set up a meeting. If you're interested in actually getting into politics professionally, we need more trans people in the campaign world working, because I can't be the only one anymore. I'm tired of it. I need more people.
I will look into it. I will say I'm about to, like, within a couple of months, I'm going to be moving to Baton Rouge, and I hope that going here will open up new opportunities for me, whether in person or just I think it's going to be a good thing for me. I'm terrified as hell. I'm not used to cities, but I think it's better, and I'm ready to do something with my life, because I work at Walmart.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, I get it. And if you're in the politics, you have to work get wages for like a couple of years, but then you get really good really quick, and everybody wants to hire you. That's how it happened for me.
Okay.
So I'm always ready to mentor new trans people.
You went to college, correct?
Yes, I did. But you don't need a college degree to do organizing. You don't need a college degree to start organizing and knocking doors. I just did the. No, it's fine. The current director of the LGBTQ plus coalition director for the DNC is a high school dropout. Dear friend of mine, dropped out of high school.
Damn.
Yep. And he is leading national organization, the DNC, and making sure that trans and queer people across the country have representation across the country in the Democratic Party. So don't worry.
I have a lot of stuff written down. I'm going to reference this call if I need, but it might be a while because I have a lot of things to handle personally before I get to any of this.
Take your time. You have the resources now. Just take your time.
Okay. Is there anywhere else that I can go if I have any other questions?
No, I think transequality.org is the best place to find me. And then if you need any voter protection or voter guide stuff, you can go to transformthevote.org.
All right, perfect. I think that about.
And hit me up if you ever want to learn biology.
Forrest, I already found your channel. I already found your channel. I already subscribed. I watched
so
Night of the
unhelpful in
Creation.
this situation.
Night of the
you can always find me on my
Museum,
LinkedIn.
dude. That shit was so funny.
I'm glad you like it.
You can always you can always message me on LinkedIn as well. Just say, hey, this is B from the show, and then we can connect there as well.
Okay, let me write that down.
That's LinkedIn. And I feel like all these chatters are also going to blow up my inbox. I see you. It's fine.
I have all this written down. I'm gonna send this note right quick and go back.
Awesome.
Sweet.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for your call, B. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, for sure. Enjoyed the show a whole lot.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Talk to you later.
Take care.
Bye.
Have a good night.
She was on hold for like 2 hours, and I felt bad, but like I felt that was a perfect way to round out this show. We've covered a lot, and I think the most important thing people can do is fucking vote. But also getting out there and getting organized and like helping out their community. If you have time and resources to do it, fucking do it. It's tremendously a lot of fun. As someone who has done it quite a bit myself, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and also this is something that helps you. As if you go and do these film bakes, you do these canvases, do you realize that Trump's campaign is completely run by Elon Musk? Do you realize that his glitchy freaking program is not letting people even find the doors that they're trying to knock? That 25% of all the data is fraudulent. They are literally not doing canvassing operations. So if this campaign comes down to a field margin, you could be the reason that we are going to win this thing. So I'm serious. It can be that close.
That's heavy. That's
this
heavy. I
is
didn't
an
know
FYI,
that.
Before we get into these, there are 2 pages of these at 20 per page, and then another page of 5. So probably don't want to spend too long on any individual one. So
we love all of you. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it happen. Let's go
fast.
rapid fire.
Yeah. $5 from Julia Scala. Y'all changed my mind. I'm voting for Cornel West. I ended up voting for Harris because 4 beers out of a 6-pack is better than a dictator. Damn fucking right. Absolutely.
Yeah. $4.99 from Megan Marie. Voted for Harris yesterday. Now time to be anxious mess for the next week or so. Love you both. Have a great show. Best way to handle that anxiousness is to make phone calls because then you know you're making a difference.
Hey, $5 from Amish Bob. Forrest and Josie. Love you both. I'll be voting for Kamala and also voting to kick MTG out of the hell out of my district. Hashtag trans rights or human rights. Damn straight. Son. Love that.
$6 New Zealand monies from Kiwi Burb as a Green Party member in New Zealand. Okay, that's right? I'm making sure it's New Zealand. Yeah. I was like, wait, I'm not mispronouncing a state, am I? I do not. I'm tired too. I do not advocate voting for Jill Stein for the sake of sanity. Please vote for Kamala Harris this election.
I'm pretty sure $6 New Zealand is like 38 cents American, I think. $5 from Mr. Boricua 10. No phonetics today. Laughs maniacally.
Boricua.
I don't know what I'm saying. As much as I love Forrest, infectious smile, and happy attitude, I very much enjoy his spicy side. I get frustrated when people are being like just fucking shitty to humans. That's what sets me off. People can be ignorant and awful, but like when someone's shitty to people, it's a bad time.
Yeah, $4.99 from Marina. Marina, I'm the worst pronouncing names. Thank you for standing up for Ukraine and debunking Putin's propaganda. People like Nick are quick to forget places like. What's that? I feel like I should know that.
Bucha?
I feel like I should. Bucha, and I know Mariupol, but
we forgot
I don't
them.
know.
We were quick to forget how to pronounce these names.
Yeah, Putler. Yeah.
Even if that shit made any kind of sense, even if there was this huge fucking Nazi problem and all these things, doesn't justify anything that's going on there as like you're killing this many innocent people and like trying to take over cities and shit. Like, holy fuck. $10 from the Blind Limey, Jamie, Texas, or turgid xenophobes. Think about them real stiff and full of fluid. Don't vote third party. I did in 2010 in the UK, and it's top 3 most regrettable decisions I ever made. If Trump gets rich, racists get hard. If Trump gets in, racists get hard. We need to work together as a people to keep the racists flaccid. That is the American dream.
Yeah. Now I'm looking up the history of Bucha. It's apparently a place in Ukraine where the Nazi forces located a headquarters. Interesting.
Oh fuck! All
Interesting. Right. The Ukrainian front. All right, that's a good thing. I had to look it up. It was itching my brain. I needed to figure out what it was. $9.99 from Evil Tango saw a meme with DJT kneeling in front of Jesus, who says there's still work to do. Biblia, blah 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 blah. Posted by Facebook friend. How can we reach common ground if one side thinks they're backed by God? We're doomed. It's okay. We still outnumber them. They're still not the majority of this country, nor will they be. That group who thinks they're backed by God is at best 30%. So we can still beat them in that way.
I think we should raise the super chat threshold to $10 because now people are just spamming them for the lulz, and I'm like, Forrest is exhausted right now, and it's already been kind of a long show in general. So yeah,
I'll go as long as we need to.
$10.
Yeah, will go.
I'm here for the long haul, y'all.
Yeah.
I slept for like 2 hours. I had a convention this weekend. I gave a speech yesterday and slept for like 2 hours and then got on a plane, got home, and did this. It's $4.99 from Captain Jashuk. This fucker sent in $4.99. Capitalism does not solve poverty. Capitalism creates poverty and then criminalizes it. Exactly, because you can make money off prisons.
Yeah,
I'm right.
That's right. $5 from Mr. Barigua, Senora Caballero, casually being being one of the most brilliant women I've witnessed. The way she breaks down an argument is superb. Keep being awesome. Oh, thank you.
For sure, for sure. Absolutely. I've thoroughly enjoyed this show. We should do this again sometime.
Yeah, I want to.
5 fake money from the Fuzzy Logic. Greetings from England. We're staying up past 1 a.m. for Forrest and Josie. Hell yes.
Yeah. $10 from Tim Devaney. Josie is the queen of government and economics, my favorite subject in high school, right next to biology. I would like Josie's opinion on UBI based on the GDP. I would love to give you that for another time, but I agree with UBI. There, I'll say that because we need to keep moving.
Yeah, sorry. Monkey at Typewriter sent $5. Mike, someday when I am fabulously wealthy and I don't want the society created the conditions of my success to steal any of it, conservatism, it's always that. It's this fucking like this temporarily embarrassed billionaires is the thing.
Yep. $5 from Monkey a Typewriter. Hey, Elon built himself up by the sweat of his brows of the workers of his father's emerald mine. I keep asking why we go along with this whole scheme. I totally agree. Just that was just reported that Elon Musk was here illegally in this country.
My God.
Yeah, he's a South African and he overstayed his visa when he wasn't supposed to. So he was here illegally for a long time.
I can't wait for all the people who are strongly against legal immigration to be super duper fucking consistent and serious about that. I'm sure it will happen. 1999 from Megan Marie posing there with her owner, the human, I guess. I don't know which one's which. I saw a representative of a BOE candidate outside the polls misinforming a voter about question 1. Question 1 is about protecting abortion in Maryland, but she was saying it allows sex change on children. Is that not illegal? It depends on how far away they are from the voting booth. I'm pretty sure, doesn't it? Like if they're like within think it's like 200 feet, then they can't do any politicking. But outside of there, then they're just lying, and you're allowed to lie.
Yeah, they can just lie. I'm gonna look that up because that's my state.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case. I may be wrong.
Yeah, as far as I want to find that, I want to find that piece of literature. I want to find that piece of literature is what I'm talking about. Give me that. Let me find that. $5 from Monkey at Typewriter. I read a story the other day at that a Bank of America worker was found dead at their desk after 2 days. Bro had a heart attack. No one checked. Family. Oh, that's so sad.
I haven't heard that story. I'll check into it, but it's like sillier shit has happened. Remember that? Wasn't it I think it was an Amazon factory or something like that. There was the story, I think last year, where somebody actually dropped dead on the job and the manager was like, drag them over there and get back to work. And like, they made this national headline.
My God.
Fucking crazy. Let me look that one up too.
Yeah. $5 from Blind Limey. Education crack is cheaper. That's a sad thing.
20 of the new Oklahoma dollars from Arsenic 1987. Here, take a bit of my wages. Thank you so much.
Aww,
less than
thank
3.
you.
It's not less than 3. It's actually 20.
Yeah. $4.99 from Evil Tango. The strength of the people is measured by the well-being of the weak. From the Constitution of my home country, we could use this here. Yeah.
It was Frito-Lay. It wasn't Amazon. It was at Frito-Lay. Someone just dropped fucking dead on the job. Our coworker collapsed and died. The manager had us move the body and put another coworker in line to keep the line going. That's
traumatizing.
At a Fritos factory.
You think that would be written in a dystopian novel, like that, like an
that's
opening
like some
scene
crazy.
To
yeah.
You think these barbecued twisty Fritos are gonna pack themselves?
That's capitalist America, y'all.
Wow!
Throw them into the vat to make more Fritos. Where do you think the Fritos come from?
Oh my gosh!
$10.
This is why the workers need to own their production to their own bodily autonomy.
Real talk. While we're talking about dead bodies and Fritos, by the way, real serious thing. As someone who has used a bone saw on more than one occasion and cut open some skulls, when you're grinding up bones and cutting people open, it smells an awful lot like Fritos. Like, spot fucking on. If you crack open a fresh bag of Fritos and sniff it, that's what a craniotomy smells like. It's nutty.
No.
$10 from... These things go hand in hand more than you'd think. $10 from Skeptoidius. Been keeping track of early voting since it started. Best case scenario so far is Harris 282, Trump 256. That's even if Texas, Florida, and Georgia go red. Going off early voting and past elections. You know what? Even when they're positive, I try not to trust early polls because Gen Z is starting to vote now and they're not going to be represented in those. And so like, I feel like there's something to be
early voting. Early voting is tea leaves stuff. So it's hard to say.
Yeah.
100 NOK monies from Arsenic 1987. No vote can be for everything you want, but it's one of the only civic duties given to you by the ancestors over bloodshed. They fought so you don't. Don't abstain because of one issue. Get the fuck out of here, Jimmy. Lots of love. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. That's what it is.
$5 from Shakis DaCosta. Love today's poli-sci lecture. Me too. One of the time I dropped out of college like 3 times, and the second time I did it, it was because I was going for poli-sci, and it just didn't click with me because the first time I went for marketing, and then the second time I went for poli-sci, and I'm like, I'm still studying marketing, and like I just wasn't into it. But like, the way you broke those things down, and they actually clicked with me in a lot of ways that I can link to like my understanding of psychology, sociology, and things like that. Very fucking cool show. One of my favorite shows that I've been on in a long time. Sincerely.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm happy I could help that way. It's what I do. Definitely. It's what I do. Thank you. It's all the nearly 2 decades of work. So thank you. Thank you for appreciating my toil. What do you think that you think I just fell out of a coconut tree? Do you think I just came up with this stuff to him yesterday?
Oh my God. $5 from Monkey at Typewriter. So these guys think that gender is binary, sex is binary, but a 2-party electoral system surely must exist on a spectrum. Hashtag don't let Forrest cut my boy up. You cannot stop me. But thank you so much for the monies for sure.
Yes. $100 from Argentina. Argentina. No, Argentina.
Those are our dollars. They're our dollars. For sure.
Yeah. From Olivia B. Just wanted to say thank you guys. Hashtag Team Josie, just in case. Thank you. I see you, Olivia. I see you.
Also, I think she sent the twice. I think she sent $100 with no.
It's an Argentinian pesos.
You don't know what anything is. It's 5 real American freedom dollars from Julia Skaya. It's not the lesser of 2 evils. It's more like trying to order a pizza with a large group of people. Some people like ham and pineapple, and some like Nazis. Yeah.
50 NOK dollars from Arsenic 1987. No vote is the same as not saying anything. Third parties will become very viable next time if Harris wins a landslide. Landslide it is. Yes. Yeah, like if MAGA people were just like regulated to this tiny little corner in the room, then we can think about third parties.
5 pounds. I don't know what that is in ounces from the fuzzy logic. There are lots of state and local races where third parties can actually win and make a difference. If you genuinely want an alternative, start there. Absolutely, yeah. Start small, start local. That's the people who only ever vote in the presidential election, and then are going to sit here and fucking act like they're making this big political statement when you're not voting local elections, when you're not voting for the people around you all the time, when you're not participating in your community like that. Insane to me.
Yep. $10 from Blade Smith. I love you guys. Billionaires succeed, but they have built on the backs of a fed, educated, clean watered, safe, fire protected, health protected people. We need schools and we need roads. Yes. I agree. The whole we built that going way back to the old Obama. We built that.
$5 from Monkey at Typewriter. Kendon is like the Zap Brannigan of electoralism. I'm willing to put wave after wave of my own men at your disposal. Bro, deal with reality. Absolutely.
$5 from Confusion24. I know so many people that refuse to vote because they do not understand how our political system works. I can't do anything to convince them. Agreed. It's really frustrating when people don't understand politics. That's why I've become so good at explaining it at such a very rudimentary level. I got 5 minutes. I could teach you about the whole governmental process of the United States. Let's go.
Seriously. Civics, bitch.
Yeah.
$5 from the fuzzy logic. Josie is absolutely right. Decisions are made by the people who show up. If you don't like how the Democratic Party is run, show up and work to change it. Abso-fucking-lutely, yo.
Yeah, it's true. $5 from Confusion24. If I try to convince them, they get extremely angry and tell me to shut the fuck up. It makes me lose hope for the future. Yep, sometimes you just got to crack that foundation and then in their world, and then somebody like me walks up to them and then it completely just rips open that foundation because you started the conversation. So don't lose the hope. You did something.
You should try hosting a call-in show. $5 from Mike Quad. For Professor Josie, you have been an effing rock star tonight. Thank you. You rock too, Forrest. Insert Vampire Vindica joke here. Fuck off, but I agree with you about Josie.
$5 from Mr. Bariqua 10. Forrest has completed his transformation into Forrest Dillahunty. Josie has completed hers in Josie Valkai. I have witnessed a beautiful moment. Aw, I love it.
The last name tradition makes it all weird. Did I marry Matt? Did he marry me? What's going on?
Did I marry you?
Amber would
I
be
guess
upset.
so.
Yes, there's no situation in this where my wife isn't very angry. $10 from Ryan Monaghan. Forrest Matt level rant was worth it. I fucking love it. Oscar worthy thing. Lol. I really don't like losing my temper in these ways, but like it's when you're so full of righteous indignation, it's hard to keep it all inside. Especially when someone's being a fucking dick to someone who's been very kind and patient and very educated and like trying to explain to the best of her ability what the fuck she's been actually doing actual work about for the past 20 years. And you're like, nah, opium. Oh my God, that was so fucking rude. I can't.
Forrest was actually doing an act of justice because I had told them in our private Discord chat that I was going to commit an act of terrorism if I heard Kendon speak again. So he was really trying to prevent the disaster that was coming.
I didn't actually see that. Oh my God, you did put that in there.
Okay,
that's
that's funny.
Arden and I are on the same wavelength a lot of the time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. And it's one of those things is like when I do that, when I'm like, I did this thing for like the last almost 2 decades. Are you just saying I just wasted my entire career? Like people are just like, and then they don't know what to say, and they do the thing that Kaden did was like, I don't want to engage that.
Yeah,
it's like tell me how you really feel. Yeah, $10 from Blind. I know. $10 from Blind Savior. Forrest is my favorite person as an Alphabet Mafia ally. He is one of the handful of cis men I feel comfortable being around as a trans woman, and when he is pissed, I just giggle because he speaks out so much. I can agree to that.
That's really, really kind of you. That's really, really kind of you. Thank you. That really means a lot.
Yeah, I can agree to that too. I +1.
Well, thank you. That means a lot, seriously. $5 from Monkey at Typewriter. During Forrest rant, son, what's so funny, daddy? Me, can't answer to the laughter. Son, did you hear a funny joke? Me, yeah, but I really did.
$20. Thank you so much from Will Be Friend. I feel like I owe Forrest some money for the orgasmic rant he just leveled against Kendon. Usually you have to pay double for that kind of action. Love Forrest and Josie. # still team. I don't know what that is. Oh, Team Arden. Wow, I can't. Okay, yeah, Team Ardent though. # nice. No poop jokes. Yes, appreciate it.
No poop jokes. Do you know why there are no bathrooms at the KFC? Do you know why there's no bathrooms at KFC?
Oh my God, you're about to start something. Why is there no bathrooms?
You don't know what you're unleashing for us.
Because it's finger licking good.
No. Forrest, you have no idea what you've just done.
You just don't know. You don't know what you just did.
Poop jokes all day long.
Oh my God! Oh, you skipped one. You skipped the $19.99.
How dare you do this, you lunatic?
Okay, there you go.
In sincere appreciation for the Forrest rant and the Josie education, thank you so much. Thank you, me and my human, for the $19.99.
Yes. 50 NOK monies from Arsenic 1987. This is for Forrest. Make sure you never had a bad day. Stay that way.
For sure.
Love it.
$5 from Jamnico6. I got a list of fart jokes ready to go, but after Forrest rant, I can't do it. Gave me goosebumps, then tears. # Forrest Fire. # fart jokes aren't poop jokes. There's something going on with the poop jokes. I don't know what the context of this is, but I'm always here for poop jokes.
Do you don't understand? Jimnick is a recovering addict from poop jokes, and we got you just.
Well, you know what? My love for poop jokes is like diarrhea. I just can't hold it in. See that?
Oh my
God! You bring it
God.
together. You relate them.
No.
This all started on
Yeah.
Chew Gum last week. Jamnik was sending the most disgusting poop jokes you can think of to Eve and I, and it was awful. And now they're adding hashtag not a poop joke to all their super chats. So
$10 for persistent dissenter. Evil flourishes when good people do nothing. Thank you, Josie and Forrest, for giving words to my thoughts. Aw.
Damn right. $10 from Skeptoidius. People need to realize there's no such thing as a moral high ground in America. No matter what you're participating, you're still participating in a system of oppression and genocide, either actively or inadvertently. Yeah, we got a lot of fucking work to do. So, like, just try to get in the right direction. That's all it is. That's all you can do.
Yep. $10 from Andy Placeris. This for Forrest crushing the caller, Josie's well-reasoned arguments. Thank you.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful to have the dream team. $9.99 from Philip Kelly, Josie, and Forrest. The combo we didn't know we needed for sure.
Yay!
I think this is great. This is the first time you and I worked together. I hope it is not the last.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, $50 from Gymnic06. Thank you so much. Step 1, join Forrest getting energized and educated by Josie's knowledge, experience, and clout. 2, have dishonest interlocutors, dishonest interlock. 3, see Forrest passionately express your own deep feels in ways you wish you could. Hashtag Team Josie and Forrest. Aw, thank you, Gymnic.
Aw. $20 by L. Gerson. Anyone who claims both sides are equal is completely ignorant and entitled. This isn't about the lesser evil. It's about not letting a fascist run the country into the ground. Frustrating as fuck. Seriously, it does suck that, like, for the past several elections, it's all been like, this is about saving democracy. But it's been kind of true every time, and it's like just getting more and more true as we go along, and that's really fucking frustrating. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
Speaking of poop jokes, I forgot who said it. What was that old quote that politicians are like diapers? They need to be changed often and for the same reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, being this political show, like, I love that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. $10 from Louis Latuna. First super chat, got into the line through whatever degrees of separation between reacteria and the atheist experience, etc. Huge admiration for Forrest and his vibe and method. Love what y'all do. Aw, thank you.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you. $20 from Blind Savior. Time to rapid fire the super chats back.
Yeah.
We're trying. We're getting
there.
How many more do we have?
Really are.
That was when we started, and I was like, oh, we have so many. This person was like, oh, challenge accepted.
The number, you don't want to know the number for us. It's better just to go until you get excited by the end. $5 from Joshua. Hashtag team keep Arden up late. Forrest, got anything to say about biology?
The butterflies and moths and stuff are in the taxonomic order Lepidoptera, which literally means scale wings because they got little individual scales on their wings. That's why you shouldn't touch butterfly wings. It'll tear up their scales and they can't fly right anymore.
Aww.
Lepidoptera. Yeah.
So,
$10 from Charlotte. Josie, you're correct. I was so emboldened by you. I'm going to bother with the phone banking on Tuesday. Also, want to follow B's lead here and get involved further. Thank you for everything. Hell yes.
Yay! I'd love to hear it. $5 from Blind Savior. Forrest, is there anything you could teach chat about biology? Just did.
So some of those scales. This is a blue morpho butterfly here in this frame, and you can see that it's blue. It's not actually blue. Those scales have like little ridges on the nano scale that only reflect blue light. If you shine light through this the other way, it's just a brown funkadelic butterfly that doesn't actually have any pigment there. It's just the nanoscale shape of those individual scales on the wings that reflect blue light in this way. Lepidopterids.
I love how you just pulled out a freaking butterfly. Just like you just like reached out.
I've got a bunch of these. I've got a bunch of these hanging in my kitchen, and I have a couple here in my office that I haven't gotten around to hanging yet. And so, like I happen to have one nearby. That's why I was thinking about them. Why they popped into my head when they're asking.
Okay. $10 from Michael.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's probably you, but I'll just go anyway. $10 from Michael. Forrest, quick, sneak in the biology fact. Keep it under 30 minutes.
The scientific word for eating feces is coprophagy, and there's lots of animals out there that are coprophagic, and some politicians as well. And so if you ever want to insult somebody in a cool, sciencey way, call them a coprophage. They won't know what you're talking about. When they look it up, they'll be very offended. Speaking of coprophagy, what did one fly say to the other when he sat down next to him on the poop? Is this stool taken?
I don't know. Oh my god.
Get it?
I knew coprophagy. I don't know how I knew that, but I did know that one. Okay, interesting. All right, go ahead.
$10 from Blind Savior. Josie, can you teach us about politics?
Oh, I have to do real quick. Let's see. There are a lot of off-year elections that happen in the off-year election cycle. So next election cycle, there's a lot of mayor seats and a lot of municipalities that are up, including states like Virginia and Wisconsin are the only two states that actually have state elections and governor races in an off-year election cycle.
All right. $5 from Melatonin Ale. No, I missed it. I love you both. I have fantastic news about the way YouTube works. Also, ale like Alejandra, not the drink. So melatonale. 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 Oh no. Thank you very much, though. I appreciate it. For $5, yeah.
$19.99 from Carla J. Missed the show except for the super chats. Hi all, bye all. Hashtags hugs for everyone. Hashtag go fuck yourself, Jimmy.
There you go. 5 E's from Flying Pals. I wonder how many of the people who always ask for the person candidate have run for office themselves. I've run for office myself once, and let me tell you, it's not great. And you can't just be exactly everything that you want to be. You have to be willing to talk to people and compromise and come to terms with what they want, especially if that's your constituents, not just your peers. They're like other people that you're trying to serve with, but like your constituents. What do you want me to do? Here's my idea. Can I find a way to comport this in a way that actually is functional for you, not just my perfect fucking world that I'm imposing on you? Very fucking important. And I still lost.
Yeah. I ran for office twice. In my city council race, I actually reached out to the Green Party and was the first Democratic candidate endorsed by the Green Party. And then the Democrats got so mad they didn't endorse me by 1 vote. So I was just like, I was creating unity between these two parties and I got punished for it.
Yep.
That one hurt.
I got endorsed by I think it was the Our Revolution or whatever. There was like the Bernie thing. They put me on their website and all these things. And oh my glob, dude, the amount of people here in Oklahoma are like, I'm a socialist. I'm like, yeah, I've not been shy about this, y'all. But whatever. 50 new Oklahoman dollars from Arsenic. Sometimes all it takes is a little fresh air to clear things up. Fart joke, T. Martin. Love that.
Yep. $10 from Blind Savior. Last one of the night. Thank you guys for everything you do. I know I'm spamming super chats. Just so happy to be out of the military and I want to share the happiness. Still, happiest day of my life was October 11th, 2010. Day I got out of military. Soak it in.
There you go.
Soak it in. You deserve it. Just love that you are out and free. Oh, it's so good. I'm getting euphoric just like thinking about it.
$10 from Melatonali. Whoops, missed the threshold. Love you both. Y'all's activism is inspiring. Also, Ale like Alejandra, not the drink. Yes, we got it the last time. How dare you fucking try to... I'm going to go back to saying ale. Fuck you.
Chat will notice that I actually quietly did not even acknowledge my own threshold and let several that did not meet the new threshold through. But that's because we're at the end, and I did prevent you guys from spamming excessively. We got a few high dollar chats, so worked out for everyone.
Yeah,
congrats. You're welcome. I'm a great producer. Thank you.
$5 from One-Eyed Heathen. Flies from manure connoisseurs. They will stop for the poop du jour. See what you started for us? You see?
Do you know why people don't like poop jokes? It's just they're just so corny.
How do you know so many? That's
what I'm here for.
Are you a DM?
From Luke
are you a DM in D&D? Do you DM?
I want to be someday.
D&D?
I've never done it before, but I want to. Jesse Jurdak and I did this big charity game, and I've wanted to so bad. I have this really fucking cool idea for a game, but I have no experience, so I wouldn't want to run it up. I wouldn't want to.
You would be perfect.
Impose it on anybody.
Maybe. Oh my god!
Maybe
you should run one.
$10 from Luke Anderson. Thanks, Josie, for all your work. Getting the Overton window to the left is critical. Thank you so much. Great to hear B is interested in pushing, dragging, kicking. Pushing, kicking, dragging things to the left. Need a mandate. Hell to the yes, sir. That's it.
We did it.
It's over now. Y'all.
Yeah.
This was a show, and you watched it. So
yeah,
that's on you. And with that, I want to thank very quickly our producer, Arden Hart. I also want to thank our mods and our call screeners and our patrons on Patreon and our channel members here and all the people in the chat who are really cool. As expected, as soon as we close lines, we had at least one or two people in the chat saying Trump 2024 having to get banned because they never fucking call in. So thanks to you guys continuing to make us look cool by refusing to engage in serious debate. Hopefully you'll call in someday. That'll be a lot of fun. Thank you to all the callers, even the ones that we didn't like. And most of all, thank you to Josie for not only hosting with me today, but for just fucking killing it, dude. I've heard so many good things about you, and not a single one of them were unfounded. This has been an absolute delight, and I hope to work with you again in the future because you've been really, really cool.
Yeah, me too. It's been great. I love it. Okay.
I love hosting with someone who is so obviously very much smarter than me, and this has been that. You just fucking blew it out of the water.
Oh, stop. Oh, my gosh. Well, if you want to be as smart as we are, make sure you join this wonderful Patreon list. This is what you got to do. You got to be a part of all these cool people. These smart, big-brained, intelligent
humans.
Click
that patron button, and your IQ goes up by something. You can't prove it doesn't.
Something.
That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It goes up.